Now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping.
Diving. He makes the catch.
And bats start cracking.
It is gone.
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball on this Sunday morning, the last game before the All-Star break. Sandra G is with me. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Marty.
As we're live here at the Willie McCovey Suite, looking out at the ballpark as it comes alive here on this Sunday morning. Last game before the break, and the break is coming, I think, at a good time for the San Francisco Giants. We talk about the reinforcements coming along, and I think it's time to sit back and relax a little bit and figure out what they're going to do here in the second half. It is Game 3 between the Giants and the Minnesota Twins today. It's been a very competitive series again, and you hate to keep saying that. The Toronto Blue Jays took 2 of 3 from the Giants this week, and boy, Toronto went into Arizona and woke Arizona up, I'll tell you that. Arizona beat them the Friday night with a couple in the ninth inning and came back to win it. And last night, Corbin Carroll, wow, if he ever comes alive for Arizona, watch out. He drove in 6 last night with a couple of home runs there. So Arizona took care of Toronto last night. But my point being this, these are American League games, and the Giants are going to have to start showing some dominance over this American League Central. They had trouble with Toronto, of course, an American League East team, but against the Central now, they're 2 and 3, and there's more coming up with Kansas City, the White Sox, and Detroit. And Detroit took care of the Dodgers yesterday. How about that one? 5 runs in the bottom of the ninth inning for Detroit against the Dodgers, believe it or not. And Gio Urshela hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th, and Detroit beat the Dodgers yesterday. So I think this break is coming at a good time. There's so much going on in baseball, and I've said it since spring training. I know the Dodgers have this lead in the National League West, but boy, they are banged up, and they're just not the same team. Ohtani is fabulous. Freeman is having his good season. Will Smith is doing well. Mookie Betts is hurt. They miss him. But boy, the pitching of the Dodgers is just not the same. Dustin May has more surgery. He's going to be out for the whole year. And when you look at it, going into this last game before the break, let's face it, the Giants are 46 and 50. Not great. You don't want to start going down here in this loss column in the wild card, especially in the West. But the Dodgers, they lead Arizona by 7 in the West. That's it. You know, with 2 months to go, plus 2 months, 2.5 months to go, they're only up by 7, and they're not putting anybody away. Arizona, as I say, 7 back, and they're going to start getting some of their pitchers back, like the Giants. And for San Diego, big win for them yesterday. Dylan Cease, another one-hitter, strikes out 11, and the Padres break that 5-game losing streak. Manny hit a home run yesterday, and Arise got 3 more hits. So they're still in it. So we've got a lot of baseball, but there is a sense of urgency, I think, for the Giants. Playing teams like Toronto and Minnesota, even though Minnesota's got a good record and they trail Cleveland by 4.5, and we've seen Cleveland. Giants have to start taking charge of these games, and they really have to start doing it. And if they don't start doing it over these next couple of weeks, they're going to find themselves in a real hole of trying to catch some of these wild card teams, because St. Louis and the Mets only have 45 losses, and the Giants, as we sit here today on this Sunday morning, they've got 50 losses. So you start losing some more and some of these other teams start winning a little bit, you can dig yourself a pretty good hole. And the professor and I will talk about 2010, when the Giants trailed the Padres by 10 games with about a month and a half to go, and they caught them. You don't want to live like that. So there's some sense of urgency for the Giants to have it together. Sandra, Blake Snell goes today. For me, his season started against Toronto.
Yeah, I agree, Marty. And I think you got to just kind of get rid of all the starts that came before this and focus on today and one game at a time. And hopefully he can send the Giants off into the All-Star break on a high note.
Yeah, and look, he's a lefty. He goes against Minnesota. They're more vulnerable to lefties. We've seen that. You got to get Santana out. Boy, the guy's got a good eye, and he did hit the home run yesterday down the left field line. Somewhat of disputed, but we'll have the professor on. He had a pretty good look at it, and he'll tell you what he thought about it. But lefties against Minnesota, you tend to slow them down a little bit, so that may be to the Giants' advantage today. But they've got a hit. And I looked in my book, the Book of Life, that I have with me, and I take care of every day, and I'll show it on the stream. And I keep all the pitching records of the starters in the National League and the hitting for the Giants. And they've gone, maybe 10, 12 games without getting double figures in hits. You know, you can't get the 7, 8, 9 hits a game and think you're going to win a lot of games. You're not going to score enough runs to do that. And I think the hitting has really got to pick up. They've got to pick up on the hitting. Pitching-wise, Sandra, you looked it up today. You have to go back to June 15th?
Yeah, Keaton Winn. That was the last time that a Giants starter besides Logan Webb got an out in the 6th inning. So that really stood out to me, and I think maybe Snell can go and get that out for the starting pitching staff in the 6th inning today, and that would be really great to give the bullpen a little bit of extra rest. But I think if we can start seeing some starting pitchers go a little bit deeper, that's going to be a key.
Well, you have to. You say June 15th. Other than Logan Webb, Keaton Winn was the last starter to get an out in the 6th inning. June 15th, that's like 25 games ago, which means the bullpen is going to be worn down. So the Giants have some work to do. They've got some work to do defensively. We'll talk about that today. Yastrzemski usually pretty solid and right. Mr. Relay man and dropped the ball and ended up runner going to third. Patrick Bailey behind the plate, another pass ball for him on a strike that he should have caught.
Scored a run,
and that was a big run as well. Jelly gave up a couple of hits in that 9th inning. There should have been a play at the plate, and Estrada turned the double play but gave up a big run instead. So there are defensive mistakes that are going on that they've got to tighten up. The starting pitching has got to be tightened up, and they've got to score some runs. And I said it yesterday, if it's Soler, Conforto, the guys who make money, this is the time for them to stand up, and that's what the Giants have to do as we come to the end of this first half. Even though it's more than 81 games, we've seen 96. They've got some work to do to get it going. So Snell starts today for the Giants.
We'll see it. I'm excited.
Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Really?
I think this is an important.
This is early on Sunday morning for you to be excited.
How can you not be excited with this view, Marty?
All right. Sanders excited. We're ready to go. All right, we'll take a break. As I said, it's Minnesota, the Giants. The series at stake today, both 1-1. Minnesota wins it yesterday 4-2. Boy, this Duran, let me tell you, 103 miles an hour, and then he threw 100. I thought it was a changeup. I mean, come on, the guy, he brings it. 32,000 yesterday. A fabulous, fabulous day at the ballpark yesterday, other than the game, honoring the Core Four. And Will and I will talk about that this morning as well. Giants had a big week this week as far as getting the job done and getting things done out to the public with I can't say enough about the Willie Mays celebration of life on Monday. Came off perfectly, and a great send-off for the great number 24. It was done so well. And then yesterday, as the Giants do it, and Bobby Basker and different people who get involved with it. There's so many on the Giants side that get it done and coordinate it. Just an amazing ceremony for the Core Four. These guys were good. As I said yesterday, this wasn't a PR stunt. These guys were good, and Woe and I will talk about it. So we'll take a break, be back with the professor right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball on this Sunday, the last game before the All-Star break. We welcome in the professor, Ron Wotus. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Marty. Good to be with you and Sandra this morning, and from the ballpark. First time of me being on your stream as well.
That's right.
But as Sandra said, I mean, look at this view. You got the Coke bottle, you got the glove, you got the whole bay. You know, they keep this park in great shape. You know, that's what comes to mind sitting here looking at the work that goes on every day. So, beautiful spot.
Boy, yesterday was something else, wasn't it? We'll talk about the game. Let's talk about the game first. Minnesota, beats the Giants yesterday 4-2. As I said in my open, some mistakes by the ball club yesterday. And, well, Birdsong was terrific for his 5 innings. But, boy, that bullpen has to be used a lot. Let's talk a little Giants baseball here before we get into some of the beauty of yesterday.
Okay, sure, absolutely. Well, yesterday was a tough one. We gave them a couple runs there, which we haven't been doing. We've been playing clean baseball. And, when you play close games, you don't know what's going to beat you. So you don't want to beat yourself. And but we have an opportunity today to win the series, and that's what we need to do is just keep winning series and chip away at this lead and at least get ahead in the wild card and then look to the division from there.
Yeah, as I said earlier, when you get this loss column, you start going backwards. You don't want to do that this time of year, and I've said this many times over all my years. Right out of the All-Star break, you want to come out playing ball. A lot of teams disappear right out of the break. Why is that? Is there a letdown coming out of the break?
Well, I think for the first couple days, the four days off really messes with the players. Baseball is not a sport that when you have 4 days off, your body feels the same. The pitchers don't have the same touch. You're on vacation for 4 days. Some guys throw, some guys keep themselves sharp. Years ago, we always worked out on the third day. We got into the city wherever we're at early and had a workout. So you get acclimated, you throw the ball, you take some swings. So the next day it's not foreign to you again. But that's changed, right? With the union, they can't call mandatory workouts on off days anymore.
I didn't know that.
So I think the team will get there early on the first day back and have, maybe pitchers will PFP. They'll do something to get moving around. But it's not the same as the day before. So I think that's part of it. One day off, you feel great. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Remember the layoff with the Detroit had. It's always talked about in the World Series and the playoffs. A team that has to sit for 4 or 5 days, they come out, they don't look good the first 2 days.
Let's talk a little bit about the Giants 2010. And I remember that the month of August was a tough month for the Giants, and you guys ended up like 10 back of San Diego. Look, Giants are uphill now. They need a good 10 days to get back into this thing, in this loss column. You don't want to be 5, 6, 7 back in the loss column. But you guys were pretty far behind San Diego. What did you think at that point? You did catch them.
Right. Well, we wouldn't have caught them if they didn't collapse. If you remember, they had a real difficult time. I don't know if they lost 7 in a row but they really hit the skids. Now, you don't expect that to happen. You can't expect that to happen. You have to play better so you can catch them by playing good baseball. But in this instance, we got hot. We were winning series after series, and they were getting swept. They were losing series, and it put us right back in there. Went down to the last game of the season, the great game of John Sanchez, and he hits the ball in the gap in the triples alley to give us our first run, and we ended up winning it on the last game of the season. So, as you said it on the open, you don't want to live like that.
Yeah. No, you don't. And as I said, San Diego 48 losses, Arizona 47, but it's St. Louis now with 45 losses, and the Mets with 45, and all of a sudden the Mets are hot, and St. Louis just plodding along. I don't know how they're going to do it the second half with older pitching, but they are getting away with it. So we got a lot ahead of us. But the Giants have to tighten it up, and there's no question about that. Yesterday at the ballpark, as I said, other than the game, other than the play, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like everything? The play was so. Basically, it was fun. Seeing the guys yesterday with Jeremy Affeldt and Sergio and Javi Lopez and Santiago Casilla. Your thoughts about it? You were sitting right on the field there.
Yeah. Well, the Giants do these celebrations better than anybody. We've seen it with the Mays celebration of life that we saw. And whenever we have reunions, we have another one coming up, 2014 World Series team. I'm looking forward to that. These are obviously special for me. These are guys that I rubbed elbows with in the clubhouse. They won us 3 World Series. And, when you just see the players from those teams, you just smile. That's all from ear to ear. I thought it was well done. I thought it was great that Vogie got to speak. Brian Wilson was there. Felt for those guys. I'm like, hey, they're a big part of this too, right? But it's about the core 4. And they were special for us and very unique. You don't see that. 3 World Series for the longevity that they had, keeping that bullpen together. So it was a special day. It's emotional, and I can look at the highlights on the board, the big moments they had all day long. I was sitting with Mark Gardner, and we were talking about we could watch that all day long.
Yeah, speaking of Mark Gardner and Dave Righetti, they were sort of the mother hens of these guys, and this was not an easy crew to manage all the time or to coach all the time.
A lot of personalities,
right?
A lot of personalities. Look at those 4 that were down there. They're all different in their own way. And Gardy and Rags were probably the best combo in the game for a long time. Pitching coach, assistant pitching coach. That's what Gardy really was. To the staff, he was an assistant pitching coach, and they knew personalities. Look. They've done it. Look at Rags. He was a starter. He was a reliever. Had the pressure of being a high pick. Gardy's, a survivor in the game. Battled, had his ups and downs, but had a great career. Smart, smart player. The man. We go back to the man, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about Felipe and trust the man before the player. But these guys are so qualified to do what they did because of who they were and what they experienced and their knowledge of the game. And they had a great time. And whenever I'm around these guys, again, it's just you're just happy. You're just happy. And it was a great day yesterday for all of us.
Gardy, when I started way back in '96, he was one of my first interviews that I ever did, believe it or not.
Well, I heard that yesterday from Gardy. He told me that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, back in '96, he started the first interleague game for the Giants against Darren Oliver. Mm-hmm. Remember the lefty?
Oh, yeah.
For Texas. Yeah. And Darrell Hamilton got the first hit. Remember Darrell Hamilton, of course?
Absolutely.
But Gardy and I, we go back a long way. So Raph went into the archives and found about a minute or so of Gardy and I talking about his career a little bit, and a very special weekend, which we'll talk about in a second. But, Raph, let's hear me and Mark Gardner about 25 years ago. Go ahead.
One of my favorite guys, a big league pitcher in his day here in San Francisco, and, of course, Marlins and Expos, no-hit pitcher as well, and that is Mark Gardner. One great weekend for you. I mean, you go no-hitter into, the 9th, 10th inning against the Dodgers. Then later that weekend, Martinez pitches his perfect game. What a weekend for the Montreal Expos. Recall it just shortly for us.
Yeah, well, we pulled into Dodger Stadium, had a 3-game series with them, and I started off the series and went into the 10th inning with a no-hitter and lost 1-0. The next day wasn't so fortunate for us. We had lost pretty bad. And then the final day, the Sunday game, day game, Dennis Martinez wheels off a perfect game. So we had 2 no-hitters and lost 2 out of 3. So it was kind of an up and a down and in a short period of time, but it was remember a lot of good things out of that. A lot of negative, but it was fun.
Oh, that's baseball. Mark Gardner, thanks for being on right off the bat.
All right, thanks.
Well, Marty,
how about that?
That is unbelievable. You dropped the "That's Baseball" on him too, and both your voices, Marty. Your voices was a little higher back in the day.
That's what Sandra said.
It's dropping down a little bit. And Gardy, I love him. He's the funniest man on the planet. I was expecting a little humor there, but I guess he threw it in with the 2 no-hitters,
right,
and you couldn't win.
Well, he went into the 10th inning.
Yes.
With a no. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember it. He's told me about it many times.
Yeah, Lenny Harris. Got a hit.
Great
and got a hit. Then there was a hit after that, and they took Gardy out. Jeff Facero came in.
Oh, geez, Jeff.
And gave up a hit, and they end up losing 1-0. And but Mark Gardner pitched 9 no-hit innings into the 10th.
That's awful. It's awful. I mean, a great job by him, but it's awful that you throw 9 no-hit innings and you don't get classified as a no-hitter.
As a no-hitter.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It went into the 10th. And then Sunday, El Presidente, Dennis Martinez throws a perfect game against the Dodgers. So as Gardy says, that was a weekend.
And as you say, that's baseball.
That's baseball.
That's baseball.
Thank you, Ref. Very good. A couple of things coming up. Let's talk a little defense here. I saw one this week. Chris Bassett of the Toronto Blue Jays caught a pop-up off the mound. And now he was struggling. The guy had given up. Maybe that's why he ran and caught the pop-up. He had thrown 60 pitches in 2 innings. But you never see a pitcher doing that. Why did that happen?
Well, where he caught it, you don't see it very often because it was over by the third base dugout. And, if you have an athletic pitcher, I mean, we always tell them, to catch their own pop-ups, especially when the infield is real deep and it's a little short pop-up to the pitcher. You see pitchers, they look around, they put their hands, they're running away from the ball. No, you have to catch it. Sometimes the infielders can't get there, but what's so unique about Bassett's catch, he went all the way over to the dugout, and he was probably further than the third baseman and the catcher from the ball. But he took charge and he caught it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, third baseman could have called him off, but he didn't. He let Bassett catch the ball. And, your pitchers want to be ready to catch the ball. We've seen them drop because they're not ready to catch the ball, but you don't see it very often anymore.
Yeah, pitchers that you just don't want them involved, I guess.
Well, if you have a position player there, they're going to call them off. But if they're around the mound and the ball's not real high, they have to be ready to catch it because if the third baseman's way back like Chapman plays and first baseman's way back, they can't get to the mound in time. It's just the real high ones that you get the pitcher the heck out of there because you don't know if you have the athletic pitcher on the mound or not, and they don't do it. They're not catching pop-ups routinely.
Boy, another thing that has come up, we haven't talked about this, it's the iPad in the dugout. Now, now they can have the iPad in the dugout. We've talked about this with other people on the show, not with you. You can have the iPad in the dugout, and now the box is back. See, before they did it without the box. Now the box is back so the player can see where the pitch is. But if he complains to the umpire about the pitch saying, I saw the box, there's a tremendous fine and it can be thrown out of the game. So you can't use it. So I said, what if you look at the umpire sideways? Say, I know.
That's right. You know what?
How about that?
I don't get it. First of all the boxes, whether it's in Sacramento and they're using the ABS system, I'm told, or the box you see on TV, I'm told by the umpires, I don't know how accurate it is. I'm told it's different in different parks, so I don't know how accurate it is on the iPad. But I'll take you back to the first year or a couple of years we were in the stadium, and we decided to put a video room down where the bathroom is by the batting cage, so it's right down at ground level. We said, be great. Hitters can go in there and view their at-bat, take a look at what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. So guys would run in there. But the problem was, all these competitors we have, I remember particularly JT, you remember this, all the players would go in there not to see what their swing was like or to see what the ball was doing. They were going in there to see that the umpire missed the call. And then they'd run back up to the dugout. The next guy was hitting, and they're screaming at the umpire. So we had to rip the thing out of there. It lasted a half a season, and we said we can't have this anymore, and they took the video room out of downstairs by the dugout.
Yeah, now at least they can have the iPad. They can see the box, but they can't say anything about it.
It makes it tough.
Really? Boy, I love baseball. There's always something like that going on. You know, along those lines, you've been at Sacramento a lot. How do you like that system? Are you getting any better with it, the challenge system?
Yeah, I like it. I think, the number one thing in talking to Grundy, and I talked to Fitzgerald about it, and several players, everybody seems to like it well enough. It's more consistent than the umpire, and it keeps people accountable. Look, if you really disagree with a call in a big moment, you tap your helmet and you can challenge it. Of course, you only get 3. If you get it wrong, you start losing your challenges. But you have the ability to say, hey, that wasn't a strike, and then you're held accountable. Are you right or are you wrong? And you'd be surprised. The players are wrong. They think it's a strike, a ball, and it's a strike. Pitchers, they can challenge it too. So there's a lot of mishaps here. The only thing I don't like about it is when an umpire has a real bad night, it gets a little embarrassing, quite frankly. They're challenging, every other pitch, not every other pitch, but maybe 2 pitches and, 4 pitches in 1 inning. And everybody's challenging. And if the umpire's getting them wrong, it kind of cheapens the game for me a little bit. That's the only negative to it. But I think the rest of it is working very, very well.
Okay, I think it's coming.
Yeah, I do too.
I think the challenge system is where they're going to go. It's not going to go to the robot, the computer. I think it's going to be a challenge system. I think that's where they're going with it. So we'll see. Well, All-Star Game is coming up on Tuesday. You've been to a number of them, of course, with the Giants and Boch and Dusty. What to expect? Well, as a coach, what do you do? What do you do at an All-Star Game?
Well, not as much as you do in the regular day, because it really is an exhibition for the players to enjoy and show their skills. So you just go through a workout. Look, there's not a whole lot of controlling the players or, setting the defense. You let the guys pretty much play. Signs, as a third base coach, most third base coaches will say, hey, guys, you're going to have 2 signs. Maybe a clap is, a steal, but everybody's on their own. They let them do it. They may have a don't run. So it's really watered down on you let the players do their things. These are all-stars, remember. Most of these guys know where to play. They do their thing. You might pick a spot here and there where you might tell somebody, hey, we're going to shift on so-and-so back in the shift. But it's really a little bit easier. It's tougher on the manager probably and the pitching coaches because you want to get everybody in the game. And that's the difficult thing. These guys are all-stars. They come here. Their families are there. You want to get them in the game, but you got to manage the game to win as well. Yeah. And you got to hold players back for extra innings. So that's the difficult thing of doing an all-star game. And it hurts you when you don't get a player in that you want to get in. And so it's a tough balance to do that.
Well, we'll see it Tuesday night. Will you watch it?
Yeah, I'll watch it. Absolutely. I want to see our guys out there. Ramos, the story about him, and it'll be real exciting to see him go.
All right, let's talk a little defense as we talk to the professor here on Sunday morning. Well, Wisely, Fitzpatrick at short, Estrada at second. Estrada's shifting. Maybe I'm imagining things, but it looks like he's getting closer to first base all the time. With Flo over there and Wade not moving great. Is Estrada trying to cover too much ground there? And let's talk about the new shortstops.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the shortstops first. I'm excited to see these guys get an opportunity. They're pretty much the guys now, and they know that. That it's their job to hold down right now. So that's a great opportunity. Before their spot playing here and there, Wisely has really won a position and earned this ability to play shortstop. Look, he played mostly second base last year in the outfield, so he's done a tremendous job. Fitzy has been moving all around the field. He's going to get an opportunity to play short. And I saw him very good in Sacramento last year. He went like 60 games without making an error. So it's in there. It's a matter of these guys getting comfortable and doing it every day on a major league field. It's a little bit different up here than it is in AAA.
Yeah, Fitzgerald was interesting. He could be on our show today if we have enough time. I hope we get him on today. But he told me, he says, in Sacramento I'm relaxed. Here I'm not relaxed. How can you overcome that for a player?
Well, it's experience and it's playing time. Look, I did his job as a utility player with the Pirates. I play one game. I play Sundays, when the regular didn't want to play, and or Carlton was on the mound. They throw me in there and take the other guy out so he doesn't have to take an offer. But it's not easy to play spring. You got to remember, these guys play every day in the minor leagues, or most every day. Then they come up here. So if you're a guy that's playing once every 3-4 days, it's hard to get any rhythm. And when you're playing a different position all the time, it's hard to feel confident about it. So you have to put the work in pregame. The pregame is your game. So you want to take live fungos off the bat. You just don't want to, an easy fungo. So you don't get the speed reps of the game very, very easily in pregame. So you have to try to recreate that, and you got to trick yourself and say, I'm working hard, I feel good, and you have to be confident. You have to believe in yourself and be confident.
All right. I like the player.
Yes.
I like so. And Wisely, heck, the guy's got offense, man. He hit one, barely hit one off 415 out there. But Wisely, had 3 for 3, and then he dropped the bunt down yesterday.
Well, that's what I like about them. They're dynamic players. We talk about getting more athletic here for a few years.
Yeah.
They're athletic. They can bunt. They can steal a base. They have range at the position. Fitt's got a lot of power in that bat, but Wisely's done a fantastic job.
Yeah. I mentioned Estrada. Is he shifting closer to first base these days? I'm seeing more balls going up the middle.
Well, they have the cards, and he moves a little. His pole position, I think, is a little further towards first base than other guys. Years ago we used to play the position, play a little straighter, and then on the breaking ball, move on the pitch. You can cheat. You anticipate. The hitter. The pitch that's coming. The type of swing he's going to take. So if you play a little more up the middle, then you see the breaking ball. Then you're on the move as the pitch is coming. So it would be great if you see guys do a little bit more of that. Use their instincts in their anticipation, opposed to just going to a plot on the field. But he sneaks over there a little bit more than other players on his pole position.
Yeah, we're seeing a few more going up the middle. And I figured maybe because of Flores and Wade are not covering as much ground for different reasons now.
Yeah, I don't think that's it, but it could be at times that he's doing that.
We had a lot of fun last week talking about a World Series player. And I like to do it because you talk about the player, and then we look at what is on the field and the young players coming up with Ramos and people like that, and Young-Ho Lee. I'll give you one. Edgar Renteria.
Oh, old Edgar. You know what? He's the pro's pro. Edgar, when he was here, I always admired him on the other side, especially when he was in St. Louis and we were playing them in the playoffs and big games. I've always followed his career. Back in Miami when he started, when he got the hit.
The kid.
Yeah. Did he score the run or did he get the hit? But anyways, I remember him running down the first baseline. I think he got the hit that drove in. Was it Counsell? Yeah, or Counsell got the hit. Anyways, always admired him. And when he got here, I admired him even more because he was a tremendous teammate and just not a good guy, but he cared about winning so much that he'd come out and take his ground balls early, and he'd grab the other Latins, he'd grab them by the arm, let's go, you're coming with me. So as a coach, when you have to, grab guys to do early work, you invite them and it's there, but if they don't come out, when you have a veteran that grabs the guys and takes charge of them as well, it goes a long way, and he teaches them how to approach the game and how to be a major leaguer.
Oh, good. Yeah, a World Series champion.
Yes, great man, great player, and it was really a pleasure to have him here in San Francisco.
Yeah, I like to remember those guys, and I like to hear what you say about them. And I always think of Chapman. Whenever you talk about it, I always think of Chapman.
He's one of those guys.
I do.
He's one of those guys like Edgar Renteria, and we mentioned the two coaches tonight, Gardy and Rags. They're coaches at that level as well, just like the player.
Yeah. Well, Monday, of course, the wonderful celebration here of life for Willie Mays. It was great. So many people. We had some time this week as well, you and I, at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room.
Yeah.
Up there, and we gave our thoughts, of course, about Willie and Orlando up there to a wonderful group of people. But that was pretty cool.
It was a great turnout. It was nice to see some familiar faces up there, and really enjoyed it. Some great questions from the fan base, and I'm glad we had a chance to talk about Willie and Cepeda up there as well. But the thing I liked the most last couple of years ago when I was there, I couldn't do the bacon wine tasting.
Right.
Because I had an upset stomach, but this year I did the bacon wine tasting and the chocolate wine tasting, and I didn't know you could have chocolate with Chardonnay wine, but if it has a little lemon in it, they have a great chocolate.
It was good.
Wine tasting. It was very, very good.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific, and we got to see Colleen from River Islands, Susan Del Oso from River Islands, and learn more about the high school that's coming there and the community and all that. It's all coming together. We like it, and they seem to like us.
They're great people. They're great people. It's a great community that they're building out there, and they do things right. There's
Good
no doubt.
people.
Yeah.
Good people. All right, well, we'll enjoy the break, and next week, Giants in Colorado. They got to start picking it up.
Yeah,
Got to start picking it up here.
You know, we've had teams, it's like if you have a veteran team, a lot of the times, you just kind of muddle along, and then they know once the All-Star break
It's
hits.
like a horse, right?
So, yeah, it's near. You're getting close to the finish line. It's go time. And then if you can add some pieces, it really pumps you up as well.
Well, we'll see. These next few weeks for me are going to be critical. You don't want to fall any further back.
Absolutely.
It's time, and you got Colorado. As I always say, the best prescription, the best medicine you could ever get are the Rockies. But the games are there, and the Rockies do play better in Colorado.
Yes, they do.
All right, have a good Sunday, Will. Thank you.
All right, Marty. Have a great break. You too, Sandra.
All right, more coming up. Alex Pavlovich of NBC Sports Bay Area joins us next right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Marty Lurie here, reporting from River Islands in Lathrop, Northern California's best-selling master plan community. The breaking news from River Islands is the announcement that Del Webb, the best-known name in active adult living, is coming to River Islands this fall. It's been years since Del Webb has offered a new community in Northern California, and people are already signing up for their interest list. With a September opening in view, Del Webb is building 3 different model complexes for their 9 home designs. All of the homes are single-story, and 2- and 3-bedroom plans will be available. The community? It'll have its own lake and an amenity center with sport courts, a pool, club rooms, and a fitness center. Del Webb will be joining the River Islands roster of fine home builders that are creating all new neighborhoods near the San Joaquin River, alongside a lake or close to parks or trails. You can start your tour now at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? This one sure is for me.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, Giants and Twins today. It's game 3 of this 3-game series. It's tied up 1-1. Giants try to win a series here and get off to the break and have a nice vacation, come back and play in Colorado next week, and then it's off to L.A. for some more before coming home against Colorado. So Alex Pavlovich joins us. Of course, he is one of the hosts and analysts at NBC Sports Bay Area. Alex, good morning.
Hey, Marty. How are you?
Good. Sandra's here with me, Sandra G., and we're glad to have you on today, Alex. And, you always do those takeaways, which we always enjoy reading about after the game, your take on the game. Let's do that on basically the first half of the season with this ball club. They played 96 games, and look, they've got 50 losses, and you got a whole bunch of teams ahead of you. What do you take from this first part of the season?
Well, we always do 3 of them, so I guess one of them would certainly be about the National League and just the fact that it's been so bad that it's kept teams like them around. And, there are certain times, I think there have probably been multiple times every couple of weeks where you want to say, like, okay, this is really headed in the wrong direction. And then you look at the standings and they're 3 games out. So that for me is one big takeaway from the first half. As far as the team, I mean, they haven't played good baseball. They've had a couple stretches that were, there was that road trip through Pittsburgh and New York. There was a stretch earlier, the homestand against the Cubs and the Dodgers, and then they go and play well in Atlanta. And I think they played well in Cleveland as well. But they just haven't been consistent. And I think, you heard Farhan say it last week where he was like, the players kind of have to show you. And that to me is true. I mean, I don't know that there are many guys in there who can be happy about their first half. And certainly some pitchers, Elliot Ramos is at the top of the list, Brett Wisely, a lot of the relievers, but most of the veterans, most of the guys who were brought in here, and, most of what was a very expensive offseason, I think has been pretty disappointing.
Hey, Pavs, it's Sandra. Good morning. We just kind of touched on Ramos and Wisely a bit, but how would you really assess the young players, the rookies, and their performance so far in this first half? We saw Birdsong yesterday. I'm thinking Fitzgerald and Matos as well.
Yeah, Birdsong for me has been a pleasant surprise. Not because I didn't think he had this in him, but just that it was so quick. I mean, I thought we might see him in the bullpen in the second half, but he looks really comfortable. You saw him yesterday. He wants to be here, and I think he belongs here, whether it's helping out the rotation, filling in some innings, or whether it's in the bullpen. He definitely looks like he belongs. In general, it's the silver lining of this first half, and it gets hidden by the overall bad play. There are days where you look at it, and it's like Ramos, Wisely, Bailey, right there in the heart of the lineup, and that's sustainable. I mean, Patrick Bailey looks like, I think he's going to be an all-star in the future and a multiple-time all-star. Ramos, this looks like he figured it out. Wisely looks like he has figured it out. Fitzgerald has shown flashes. Ryan Walker's pretty young, a guy who can be part of this bullpen for a long time, and Sean Jelly and Randy Rodriguez. So there are a lot of young guys who have come up and been a big part of this. And if you're talking about silver lining and looking towards the future, I do think they're starting to, Ramos, Bailey especially, like that's a pretty nice core that you can start to build around with Logan Webb and some of the pitching. But there hasn't been enough overall, but I think that would be the silver lining from the first half.
No, good point. Alex Pavlovich with us. Of course, we love talking ball with Alex. He was Rookie of the Year way back, probably about 2010 or 12, somewhere in there. 2012, Rookie of the Year. Time goes so fast. What do you think Farhan's got to see over these next couple of weeks, not to get in a sell mode of of a Conforto or a Flores or a Yastrzemski, or trying to open some doors maybe for some Sacramento players, because you're not going to get a hell of a lot back for these players. But what does he want to see, you think?
Well, I think he's probably looking at the schedule to start the second half, and he sees, 6 games against the Rockies, 4 against the Dodgers, who are, not the Dodgers right now. I mean, they've basically been a 500 team for a while here, and there's an opportunity for these guys. For me, it would be get back above 500 before the trade deadline, and maybe get a couple games above 500, and just show that this is serious, and that, because look, as bad as the National League is, you can still figure it's probably going to take 84, 85 wins to get in there. So just hanging around 2-3 games under, and every time you get close, you lose 2 games in a row. That's been really disappointing. And I think even when he spoke with the assorted media at the start of this homestand, and someone brought up, do you take a glass half full approach? And the first thing he said was, well, we're below 500. We have to get back to 500. So I think if you spend, I don't know, has it been 2 straight months now under 500? It seems like. I think that would be the first goal after the second half. Is these guys going out there and whether it's getting a sweep or having a good road trip, or having a good road trip and then winning that series at home against the Rockies. There's a doubleheader. Just showing during that stretch of 10 games or so that they are worthy of continuing. I mean, that's what he's always done, and he did that even in 2019. I think he has always paid respect to the clubhouse. And in 2019, remember, they went on that run with, it's kind of the Alex Dickerson-fueled run in July, and he held Bumgarner and he held Will Smith and said, I'll give you guys a little bit of a shot. I'm going to make some trades, but you've earned a shot to at least try to stay hot in August. Now, of course, they didn't, but I think that's probably what he'll do is, go out there and show that you have earned a shot to stick together, as opposed to 2 or 3 of you guys being sent out before July 30th.
Well, we have the draft tonight. It is during All-Star Game week, and they like to pump it up pretty good, so the draft is tonight. I'd love to see the Giants. You remember when they drafted all the pitchers, 1 through 6 or 7 pitchers? I'd like to see them get outfielders, athletic outfielders. Go 1 through 6 and just get outfielders. What do you think?
Yeah, the draft is dangerous when you start doing that. I think a few teams have done that with pitching, and it's a little bit easier. But other than that, it's pretty much best player available. And if you stretch your board a little bit because you feel like you can even go back to Patrick Bailey. They were like, Patrick Bailey's at the top of our board, and Joey Bart's here, but we love Patrick Bailey as well. And that worked out really well. I think it's really dangerous if you start to think about actual positions. And the other thing I would say is, you don't have to squint too hard to see an outfield next year of Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, and Luis Matos and feel really good about it. So I don't know that, you always want more coming. But for me, it's not as dire as it was maybe 6 months ago or last year.
Yeah, I like depth. I like depth in the outfield, so that's where I'm coming from with that. I'd like to see a couple of college hitters. I know you're not going to get anything at the top of the draft, but that's where I'm coming from with that. This is a big start for Snell today. I guess they all are. As I told Sandra, let's forget about everything else and just go off the Toronto game. You feel the same way about Snell today?
Yeah, I've always thought he was going to be fine. I just, he needed to – the stuff was good early on. I mean, there was never an issue with, you woke up and it's throwing 93 or something like that. It just – he didn't feel comfortable, and he's very detail-oriented. And, you've seen him behind the scenes there. He's a huge, plyo ball guy and really pays a lot of attention to just, the little things. And even on – what was it, Tuesday against the Blue Jays, he was yeah, the curve can be a little bit better, the changeup can be a little bit better, even though it gave up 1 hit. So I think it's always just been a matter of having him feel comfortable, and not just physically, but feel like his pitches are all there. And unfortunately, the way spring training worked out, he wasn't able to be that guy in April or even May, or then he gets hurt and is dealing with all that. But for me now, he has had, in a weird way, he's had a full spring training, just through multiple rehab assignments and through a lot of work on the side. It's just been injured, and he came back and he felt good. And I think now it's about tinkering and working on his pitches. But as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be really good in the second half.
Well, let's see who can carry a team. All right, we'll put you on the spot with this one as we talk to Alex. Always a pleasure to have you on. You know that. who are the guys that have to come through here? Who are the guys that the Giants have to rely on? Say, all right, you guys got to pick it up. If you do, we're in it. If you don't, we got trouble.
I keep thinking back to a spring conversation I had with Alex Cobb about the rotation and the depth of it and how good it looked on paper. And he just smiled and he was like, I love it. This is what we want. We want to lead the way. I mean, the starting pitchers, you want to set the tone every 5 days, and you want the next guy to do it, and then the next guy. And I think that for me is what I'm looking at. Cobb is going to be back at the end of July. Robbie Ray should be back during that Dodger series. Blake Snell looks like Blake Snell again. Logan Webb's an all-star. There's plenty there, in Kyle Harrison and Birdsong and
Hicks,
Jordan Hicks. Like there's a lot there. So for me, it's the rotation. I mean, they basically, I don't want to say skated by because a lot of guys were hurt, but like the bullpen kind of saved those guys in the first half, and Logan Webb really carried them. And Jordan Hicks, I think, did a fantastic job of just giving them 95 mostly good innings and helping them stay afloat. But for me, now it's up to those guys. I mean, it's a veteran group. It's a very well-compensated group. And it's time for the rotation, I think, to lead the way.
All right, I'm with you on that. And Sandra pointed out today, you got to go back to June 15th to find a Giant starting pitcher who got an out in the sixth inning other than Logan Webb. So that's about 25, 26 games. So I'm with you. The rotation's got to lead the way. And then there are a couple of guys on the offensive side that have to pick it up. But I agree with you. Without a starting rotation that gets you into that sixth, seventh inning occasionally, it's going to be a tough way. Hey, Alex, thanks for being on. Are you hosting the show today?
I am. Me and Randy Wynn.
All right.
We'll try and show a little bit. I know people were upset they missed the ceremony yesterday, so we'll try and show some of that and go over that.
Yeah, how'd you like the ceremony, by the way?
It was. I liked it. My one piece of criticism, and I will tell this to the Giants. we said on our podcast as well, is I feel like anytime Brian Wilson's here, they need to give him a microphone. He just kind of was hanging out. And I'm like, we don't see that guy a whole lot. So it felt like yesterday was the perfect time to put him center stage. And I think when people watch it, you just kind of go like, is that Brian Wilson hanging out with the rest of the former players over there? But yeah, maybe he didn't want to do it. But I'd love to hear from him.
Yeah, I like it. Very good.
Well,
very good.
Hard to recognize him without the beard.
Love having you on, Alex. Thank you so much for doing it.
Marty.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you.
Have a good day. All right, that is Alex Pavlovich. Good to have him on. Glenn Kuiper, who normally has this spot, is on assignment this week, and Glenn will be back with us next week. You and Glenn are going to be handling the weekend show when the Giants and Reds play.
It's going to be a big series, Cincinnati series.
All right, I'm actually taking a weekend off, believe it or not. All right, I like it. All right, next up, Bruce Jenkins right here on the Sports Leader. Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it. It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, ROBBEN, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are nosely drain units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring our architect out there. Such a great thing. No sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
So you call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Vance Gene Bogano checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said that while it's been hot inland, we know that, temperatures have been quite comfortable out on the coast, ranging from the mid-60s into the low 70s. At the Tides restaurant, patrons have a wide variety of choices, ranging from delicious seafood salads and pastas to the ever-popular fried calamari and grilled fish. If you're planning a trip to the beach, the Tides Fish Market offers a great selection of food and beverage items, perfect for picnicking, while across the hall, just go into the gift shop. They have whatever apparel you need, from swimsuits to beach towels, anything you might need for that excursion. And if you're looking to stay for a day or two just across the Highway 1, the Inn at the Tides with its large, comfortable rooms, all with a view of the bay, is waiting for you. So if you're looking to get away and escape the heat, you need to look no further than the Tides Wharf and then the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. We bring in the great Bruce Jenkins of the San Francisco Chronicle. Bruce, good morning. How are you today?
Good. Beating the heat out here on the coast as usual.
All right. Well, here we are. We get here every year, the last game before the All-Star break, and it's time to really take a hard look at the Giants and see where they are in this wild card race. And look, the Dodgers have fallen apart right and left in front of us. Where are we Giants-wise? How do you see it right now?
Well, I think today is huge. I think the Blake Snell start is huge. If for some reason he has a shaky outing, he's out in the fourth, walking guys, can't find the plate, no command, where he's kind of back to square one, then you start thinking about, all the stuff that can go wrong. Hicks hasn't had some good starts, and, Jelly's had some rough outings, this and that. Birdsong, tremendous stuff, but he's He's up and down. I think, it's just Snell, a great outing from him. You start thinking about all the good things about Webb and Harrison and guys are coming back, and it's just a big start for him and the team.
Yeah, I agree with you, and Sandra brought it up this morning. You got to go back to June 15th to find a starting pitcher other than Logan Webb who got an out in the 6th inning.
Wow.
And let's face it, you can't win. You just can't win without pitching and defense. And the defense is now in some transition, but you're right. Robbie Ray, Snell, Harrison, Logan Webb, Hicks, Cobb, they can turn the season around by coming back and being who they are.
That's the whole story. I mean, if that happens, they're going to be in the race. I mean, I think one thing about the team, it's that this is not a great hitting team. It's barely a good hitting team. I know batting averages aren't the end-all stat by a long shot, but they do tell you something. And you just look at these averages: Chapman 237, Conforto 236, Flores 205, Estrada 220, Yaz 230, Soler 228. I mean, it's just on and on. You can't ride it with Ramos and Wisely to the finish line. They had some rough at bats yesterday when they could have got a run in. Chapman had a couple rough at bats there, but it's not a good hitting team, Marty. And I don't know if they're going to be one after the deadline. So the pitching and defense is going to be huge.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I said it this morning. I look in my book. You can go back about 15 games at least. That's far back as I went, and I don't think you'll find a game with double-digit hits for the Giants. Can you imagine that? They get 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits a game, and it's tough to win games like that. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. Is it's not just runners in scoring position; it's doing damage as a team.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty well established. I mean, I don't see any Reese Hines in this one.
Come on,
kid for the Reds hit 2 more homers yesterday, Marty. He put one on the upper deck.
Bruce.
He had people talking about Willie McCovey in '59. Willie McCovey came up. He had seven extra base hits in his first 6 games. That was a record, tied by others. All of a sudden, this guy's got 9. So he's just ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. And now, after you were on yesterday, we had Keith Law on, who's the minor league guru and the draft guru.
Yeah, I like him.
And, he's terrific. And I said, what about Reese Hines? Because yesterday, of course, going into yesterday's game, he had just hit a grand slam and another homer the day before. And he hit 2 more yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, no, they'll catch up with him. As a minor league hitter, he hit like 209.
Yeah, that's astounding.
But he's one of these, like a Joey Gallo kind of guy. You get in a groove, and he's got that kind of power. And look, it's incredible, but he's doing it. And yesterday, 2 more home runs for the Reds. I think the Reds are a team you got to deal with. You know that of all the teams, and I see where the Mets are and the Cardinals. I still think the Reds are a team you got to deal with.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, just De La Cruz alone.
Wow.
If he gets on base, and he can do that by beating out an infield hit that most guys couldn't do, then he runs wild on you. And meanwhile, he hit a home run into the batter's eye, dead center, yesterday. He's a story in himself. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this kid's a 209 hitter anywhere. I mean, he's not going to do what he's doing now, but he's having a lot of fun. He's obviously a big. I mean, you talk about Luis Arraez waking up the Padres. I mean, this guy, that team's they're just in amazement. And they've had a lot of injuries, but guys are coming back, especially in the outfield, and they're just a lot of fun. And Austin Slater's there for the ride. I don't know how much he's going to play, but he's there for the ride.
I was just going to say that's the luck of Austin Slater. To get traded to the Reds the day that Reese Hines hit 7 home runs in 5 games or something.
Yeah, that's like I say, and Stuart Fairchild is coming back. They've got a lot of right-handed hitters, outfielders that they're more likely to play ahead of Slater. He's hitting like 196 or something, and these are guys that they like. So Slater can't expect to play a lot. If he pinch hits, that's a tough place to make an impression. But we'll see where it goes. Slater's a good man. He's a tough-minded guy. So we'll see how that goes.
No, and he can hit lefties allegedly,
yeah.
So he'll get his chance to do that. But guys like Reese Hines, at the wrong time for Austin Slater. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Tell you that. Looking at the Dodgers, and you and I have talked about this all year long. You know, there's a race in the National League West, believe it or not. Corbin Carroll woke up last night, a couple of home runs, drove in 6. Mm-hmm. San Diego, Bruce, we say it all the time, they win 5, they lose 5. And then you have the Giants with that crazy potential of can they get back into this thing. I think we've got a race in the West. I just don't think the Dodgers are putting anybody away.
Well, they really aren't. They're up 7 over San Diego and Arizona right now. The Giants are 10 games out there, but just the vulnerability, plus the way San Diego and Arizona look at Corbin Carroll hitting 2 homers is a big deal. And they poured on the runs yesterday. Suarez hit a homer too. It's a great win for San Diego. Dylan Cease was great, but the Dodgers, they got the kid out there, Robleski, who's pretty much their ace, right, of the rotation. And there's nobody else in the rotation, so he's got to be the ace. He goes out there. He's got a 5-4 lead. Ohtani triples and homers, and it's 9-4 going into the 9th inning in Detroit, and they lose that game.
Unbelievable.
They've got relievers out. They got Ricky Velasco out there and Johan Ramirez. Who are these guys? And Gio Urshela, who we haven't heard from in about 3 years. It's the game-winning home run. And geez, I mean, it's really a disastrous loss. They trotted out 6 relievers after Robleski yesterday, and hadn't heard of half of them. But that's a real crisis. I mean, the contrast between the Giants and the Dodgers pitching in terms of how does it look? It looks terrible for the Dodgers, and it looks pretty promising for the Giants.
Boy, interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce. It's Sandra. Good morning.
Hi.
We're just talking about looking across the league, especially in this wild card race. Who's flying under the radar? Who do the Giants need to kind of keep their eye on? Who are they really competing with?
Well, everybody. I mean, everybody's in that wild card race. The Cardinals are only 3.5 back of Milwaukee in that division.
Yeah.
So they're right there. The Pirates, they're going to have, when they throw Skeens at you, they're going to be right there. The Reds, who we just talked about, there's a whole crowd. I think the Cardinals are always, once they get it going, that's just a really good foundational organization there. But there's so many teams in here, and of course San Diego and Arizona are in there too. So I don't know if those teams are all teams that you have to look out for.
Boy, and I'll tell you another one, and it's New York baseball, and the Mets start rolling. You got that going on. I think I saw yesterday they've got 10 different pitchers who've had saves this year. I mean, that's how crazy their bullpen is. But the Mets all of a sudden, Lindor's hot and Nimmo is hot, and this is good. I'm telling you, Bruce, this is a challenge for the Giants. They can't fool around here. There's a sense of urgency that I see now because a lot of these other teams are getting a little bit better, and they're going to have to pick it up here once they come back from the break. I think so.
Yeah, and I think all those teams I mentioned are pretty much talking about hitting with all of them. And all of them have better hitting than the Giants. That's a tough load to overcome. I mean, the Giants are, I think, 8th in the wild card race, but they're just 4.5 out of 2nd. So that's going to be kind of a comfort zone thing for them to look at. But at the same time, they're well below 500, and you got to get there first before you're serious.
Right, 46-50.
Yeah.
And they've played, I think Sandra said 49 home games already. They've only got 32 more home games.
Wow.
Coming up. So I think they're 27-22, something like that at home. So, they're going to be on the road a lot, so they're going to have to deal with that. So, yeah, they've got a ways to go. They're going to have to pitch their way back into this thing. You wrote a very interesting column today. I urge everyone to read it in the San Francisco Chronicle online, or if you get the paper, about Vince Cotroneo, our dear friend over in Oakland, who is part of the radio broadcast team for taking over for Bill King. You want to talk about a tough assignment 16, 17 years ago. And he's not being renewed by the A's and put out a statement this week, and you wrote about it today.
Well, yeah, it's a rough go for Vince. The guy's he's very, very good, and so is Ken Korak. You talk about a professional broadcast through tough times. I mean, those guys, all they know is they're calling big league baseball, and then there's another team out there too, and they're a heck of a team. They worked together 19 years, and all of a sudden, boom, one of those weird radio things or a weird A's thing where his contract isn't renewed, and he didn't mention that in the statement that he put out on Twitter, and I just thought, well, I can see why he's just leaving because he doesn't want to spend 3 years in Sacramento, on AstroTurf in 180-degree heat. Who would?
Yeah.
It's going to be a minor league 3 years, okay? But no, it wasn't that. It's because they didn't renew my contract. So, he's disappointed, but he understands it. He certainly has the chops to get another job. But as we've learned from Doug Greenwald, Hank's son, he's been trying to crack the major leagues for years, and he's very good, and he just hasn't happened. So you don't know what's going to go on. But Vince Cotroneo is a real class act. I've always enjoyed talking to him about everything in baseball. And as he said, he and his wife are at peace with this thing, and if this is going to be it. But he'd still like to keep working.
Yeah, and I worked with him a lot when I did the A's pregame from 98 to 09. And, of course, he came in after Bill King passed away. And I love talking ball with him. He started me using the phrase, baseball is a talking sport. And the one thing about Vinny was very well prepared.
Yeah.
No one outworked him. So as a professional, if you wanted to sit down like Vinny would come over like you and I do, and I'd say, Vinny, let's talk about this or that or this. He always was right on it. And I think they're losing something very, very serious, a very professional broadcaster who was always prepared on every aspect of baseball and did everything you needed to do. But the way this broadcast thing is going, like you mentioned, Doug, it is a lot of younger broadcasters getting a shot to save money. And that's where we're going. But, that was a good team for I call him the captain, Ken Korak, because he was the captain when Bill King passed away. He had to take over. They were good.
Vince goes, replacing Bill King is tough. And he goes, I know Bill King. I saw Bill King in the Speedo. I saw
Come on.
I saw him on the flights with no shoes on reading Russian literature. But mostly he followed one of the great broadcasters of all time, and I think part of the reason he was so well prepared, he's going, my God, I'm going to do this, and people are going to respect what I do, and anytime there's some dead time, I'm going to fill it because I know a lot about not just our team but the guys in the other team and all the things that go into preparation. So that's a head scratcher for me why they wouldn't bring him back, honestly, especially going to Sacramento next year. So that's radio. Let's put it that way. Not baseball. Exactly. That's radio. All right. Let's look at some of the league leaders as we get it's more than the first half of the season. But Stephen Kwan, Bruce, still 354 now. Witt 324. Otani 314. Arise 310. And Correa 308. That's about it. Yeah, there's only 7 guys over 300 in the American League. Soto and Yordan Alvarez are just barely there, but Kwan, I gotta think Kwan's gonna win that race. He's qualified now, and he'll stay qualified because he rarely even swings and misses. He's a tremendous contact hitter. He's leading off for a winner. Everybody's talking about him. Doesn't faze him at all. And I love Bobby Witt, man. He's absolutely terrific. He's be the only threat there. How about only 7 in the American League, and that's about the National League too.
Yeah, so Otani leading the National League, so we always love this Triple Crown race here. Judge with 34 homers. He's got the American League pretty well done, although Gunnar Henderson with 27 could get hot. But Otani 29, then Ozuna 26. And that's really the National League right now. So Otani, Bruce, I'll tell you another thing about Otani. Someone pointed this out to me yesterday. It's a big deal in baseball to look it up. If you get 400 bases as a player, where obviously 1 for a single, 2 for a double, 3 for a triple, 4 for a home run. If you get 400 bases, it's a big deal. That's like Stan Musial and, the great hitters used to do it. Otani has 233 bases, Bruce, already, and Judge 233, and Gunnar Henderson 216, Witt 215, and Ozuna 204. They could get 400 bases.
Yeah. Let me tell you one thing about the All-Star break, Marty, because they're saying, well, Judge has 34 at the break. That's the most by a Yankee, ties Roger Maris. Right. Well, the Yanks have played 97 games, Marty.
Yeah.
In 1961, when Maris got those 34 at the break. They played 82 at the break. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, we're well past the first half.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's a good point, and especially for the RBIs. Judge at 85, Ozuna 77. I don't see Ohtani in my first five. Ramirez 77, and then Josh Naylor 70, and Alec Boehm of Philly, he's got 70.
Well, Ohtani's got 69, so he's right behind Boehm. And that's Ozuna. He can be caught there. I can see Ohtani getting, catching him. I think Ohtani's going to win the home run race. So I tell you, watch out for Bryce Harper. He's got 21, but he came back with a vengeance yesterday, and he's just a force, as we know.
Okay, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, Bruce, I'm just thinking, I know we're coming in first half, All-Star game and all this stuff, but who are the kind of standouts that you're seeing right now for MVPs and maybe for batting titles? What do you see across the league?
Well, I've got Kwan, as I mentioned, winning the batting title. I don't think he can be caught. I see Arias is going to win it in the National League. He's right there with Ohtani, and he's just too good of a pure hitter. Much less likely to have a little bit of a slump. I don't see Ohtani ever taking a dive, but I like Arias there. MVP, I mean, Ohtani. He's playing for a winning team, a very flawed team, as we've talked about here. But just to threaten the Triple Crown is an amazing thing. And he's just, he's Ohtani. He's larger than life. And I don't know. He's certainly my guy in the National League. And Judge on the same along those same lines is a triple threat. Triple Crown threat there. I mean, he's going to win the home run title. He just won't stop homering.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty good lead in the RBIs, and he's hitting over 300. Kwan is, like I say, 354. That's a tough guy to catch. But if just for Judge to hit over 300 with those power numbers, and the Yankees, another flawed team, but a very relevant team and a team that everybody looks at. Bobby Witt's is definitely a threat there. I think Carlos Correa is sort of an under-the-radar threat if the Twins, do a lot of stuff. So those are just a few of the names. I think Harper could sneak in there somehow. Mookie Betts probably has missed too much time. We'll see. Ozuna is a threat, but I'm sort of go to the top there with Ohtani and Judge.
Boy, good stuff. I love these stories. I love following this stuff. I'm glad we could do this on Sunday morning. Bruce, as a historical note today, I'll give you a choice. 1968, Hank Aaron hits his 500th home run off of the great lefty Mike McCormick of the San Francisco Giants. Or one that always breaks my heart, Pete Rose knocks Ray Fosse over in the All-Star game in 1970 and really changed Ray's career, unfortunately. So you could pick one.
Well, that was really unfortunate. And those are the days when the All-Star teams really wanted to win, and you could see it in the game. And that's began the trend toward, we got to get a little more friendly in this thing. But Aaron's 500th against the Giants, I was looking at that box score. Bobby Bonds showed up in that game. He had just joined the team. That was his rookie year. He pinch ran for McCovey and took over in center field because Mays wasn't playing. Ty Klein was in center. But Mays did show up as a pinch hitter, hit for Hal Lanier and got a base hit. But Hank Aaron, who was my guy when I was a kid, I always loved watching Hank, and not from a home run standpoint, just from a pure ball player. But that really wasn't a great year for him. He only hit 29 homers, which for him was really a down year. But as we know, Mike McCormick was coming off the Cy Young in '67, 22 wins, and so that was a memorable day. The Braves, you saw the great tribute to Mays the other day. Felipe Alou and Joe Torre, who were both spoke on Willie's behalf, were in the Braves lineup that day. So it's fun to look back.
National League ball. Wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, Bruce, great to have you on today. I always enjoy it. Have a good Sunday. And next week, not the second half.
No.
Game number 98.
Yeah,
or something.
Exactly.
But we'll talk next Sunday, Saturday and Sunday. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Guys. Talk then.
All right, be well. All right. Farhan Zaidi coming up next right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, when I came up for FanFest, I had a great time, and the reason why, I stayed at the most unique hotel in San Francisco, and that is the Hotel Via, located directly across the street from Oracle Park. It's just a walk from the Via Hotel right into the ballpark. I loved it. It's family-owned and operated. It was the first hotel built in the fastest-growing area of San Francisco, and of course, we're talking about Mission Bay in the South Beach neighborhood. It's got premier private event space. The rooftop at the Via Hotel is a great place to have a meeting, an event, and just a beautiful view of the ballpark in downtown San Francisco. It's at the intersection of sports, entertainment, and technology. For more information, visit hotelviasf.com or call 415-200-4977. Or you can email them at info@hotelviasf.com. Staying at the Hotel Via is an experience you don't want to miss.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, fans, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. Marty Lurie here with the president. I don't know what to call him these days, but he runs the show, and that's Farhan Zaidi. How are you?
Hanging in there. Obviously, tough start to the homestand, but hopefully we right the ship here against the Twins.
This is an interesting time of year for me, and going through the rhythm of a baseball season. July is always that time that players get tired. You get the break, you come out of the break, you better come out running because teams can disappear. Tell me your rhythm of a season, how you see a season's rhythm going from April right up to where we are.
Yeah, I think to your point, you get to July, and at least from the front office standpoint, you start working backwards from the finish line. Yeah. You know what September baseball's like. You know the dog days of August and what you think you might need to do to get into September and to be playing important games. And then you're working backwards to the trade deadline and what that's going to look like. So you really have to start working backwards from that point. And we're at a point now where we really need to evaluate what we have, what our chances are, what we're going to be trying to do at the deadline. And we've got obviously the draft overlaid on that. That's happening this weekend as well. So it's a really busy time. But you're right, it's really a critical juncture in the season.
What does a season like this do to you because you're so close, along with about 7 other teams, to getting into a wild card? And we saw with Arizona. We've seen what the Giants have done before. You just get in and things can happen. What does that mean to you when you're so close? Because that's part of your evaluation.
Yeah, I think the mentality of our team, and rightfully so, has been, let's just hang in there. We've got some guys coming back. We've got, Blake Snell came back last week. We've got Robbie Ray hopefully coming back after the break and Alex Cobb behind him. But you don't want to get too complacent with that mentality. You still got games to win. Like you said, there's a lot of teams in this race. And, what I think we need to be careful of is not getting complacent and feeling like it's okay to be hovering around 500 or below 500. It's kind of go time. And you're starting to see some teams in that wild card race separate, maybe get a little bit away from 500, and we need to keep pace with them. So I think that's the big thing as far as the rhythm of the season, is not feeling like you have more time than you really do, because we're 3 games out, and more so than even the games behind. There's just a lot of teams in this race, and we're going to have a hot stretch or 2 hot stretches to really establish ourselves in that race, and that's what we're looking for.
They always say pitching and defense is the key. You're pitching, which is hard for me to believe when I look at the numbers, like 12th in the league. What do you do about it?
It's a good question. I mean, I think some of that is weighed down by the fact that we've gone with young pitchers breaking in, especially early in the season. We had some guys come up and struggle. I think as we've gotten into the season, we've had better performances. We feel really good about the guys in our bullpen right now. As our rotation's gotten healthier, having Blake back, we have 5 guys that we think can give us a chance to win every day. So I think it's just health and workload are the big things for us. You've heard a lot from Bob and Brian Price talking about making sure we don't overtax guys both in the rotation and the bullpen. And that's where I think having these guys coming back will help.
All right. You look at things that happen this time of year. It's always interesting. And look, Chris Bryant came in. I can remember with the A's, so many trades in the early 2000s, and Corey Lytle and Johnny Damon and Jermaine Dye. I mean, really impact players. Can you make a move? Can you make that kind of move, an impact move, not just a window dressing move, but actually an impact move?
Yeah, I think the way this team is constructed, and we've talked about this offline a little bit, we don't really have the window dressing room move because we have a pretty full bullpen. We've got players around the diamond who we think are deserving of playing time and can help us win. So if we bring someone in who's going to knock someone off the roster or take someone's playing time, it's got to be an impact guy. And so we're monitoring that. I think we may have to dig a little deeper than some of the names you hear out there, maybe make a real baseball trade of players who we have, prospects or guys with team control, for guys on other teams that maybe aren't rentals or guys you might have for a year or two. So to get real impact, I think that's the kind of trade we're going to have to look for.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what baseball has turned into today.
Yeah.
You know his voice, Farhan is with us. How has life changed for you in this job from when you started to now? And I say it in the baseball sense.
Yeah.
Understanding the game and the roster and how things are put together.
Yeah, I guess when you first said it, I thought you meant we're meaning in a non-baseball sense. But, in a baseball sense, I would say we were in a transitionary period for a lot of my early time, even 2021, which was a great season for us. We were kind of a blend of old and new. And I think now with Bob Melvin coming in, somebody that I have a long-standing relationship with, we're in more of a position of stability. That's where I think seeing some of these young guys come up who have a chance to be with us for 5 or 6 years is exciting. And, you just don't see the same roster churn and volume of moves that you saw earlier in my time here. And I think it's because we see things stabilizing. We see a core of players who have a chance to be around for a long time.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. When I look at next year, you hate to say look at next year because you're very much in contention here. But you think about next year, you've got some young players. And look, the game is 22 to 27. I've said that before. And you have some people in that window. So do you think about next year and what you actually do have? Because you don't need a heck of a lot for next year.
Right. I mean, obviously, I think the easiest place for your mind to go is getting Lee back. And you think about the progress Ramos has made, and maybe that wouldn't happen if Lee hadn't gotten hurt, as much as you hate to say it that way. Having both of those guys in the same outfield is really, really exciting, And, you combine that with Bailey and some of the young pitching we have, and as you always think about up the middle. Now you've got 2 outfielders that can play center field. You've got a catcher you really like. Hopefully, Fitzgerald, Wisely, even Luciano can come up and solidify the middle infield. And then, hopefully we can build around those guys. So I agree with you. I think the most exciting thing for me looking forward to 25 is having Lee and Ramos out there at the same time.
I like the pitching. Mm-hmm. I like the guys who could. Come on, are you kidding me? You got Snell next year, Ray next year, Birdsong next year, Harrison next year, and you also got Logan Webb.
Right.
Seriously, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's we're seeing some stability. Yeah, we're going to have some stability in the rotation year over year, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's much different than last spring training, I'll tell you that, knowing you're going in with that pitching staff. So that's half the battle for me. You're rolling the dice a little bit at short, and this is a critical time of year. If these guys don't look like the answer for the next 2 months, August and September, what do you do?
I think it's a fair point. I mean, we said it, when I met with the media after, the Ahmed move, and Nick was a veteran. He played a really solid shortstop for us. He was never an offensive player, so I think we got exactly what we expected to out of Nick. And it was really, like I said, a vote of confidence in Brett and, the job Fitz has done. But as much as those guys do offensively, I think this is the point you're getting at. We need the steady defense from them at that spot. You're the leader of the defense on the infield, on the field as a whole, and everyone's going to be looking to you for consistency. Yeah. So hopefully they can demonstrate that, and if not, and if we're in a position where we feel like we need to add a veteran presence there to re-solidify things, I think we'll be open to it. But we want to see what these guys can do for at least the next couple of weeks.
Well, that's all you got in the next couple of weeks, because the trade deadline is July 30th, so that's all you got. So you are rolling the dice a little bit with that.
Right.
You did say earlier in the week or later in the week that, boy, if we're not in it, watch out, I could sell a few people. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, look, it was a very honest comment. I said if we play the next couple of weeks the way we played the last 5 days, we lost 4 or 5. And, like we've talked about, Marty, you've got a lot of teams in the race. Somebody in this NL wildcard race is going to heat up in the next 2 weeks, maybe a couple teams. And if you're not one of those teams, you could be looking at a 4, 5, 6 game gap by the time you get to the deadline. And, we have stayed the course the last couple of deadlines with teams that were in it or on the periphery of being in it. People forget we were 49 and 41 at the All-Star break last year. We were actually in a much better position than we are this year. So, look, we it's just being honest that we really need to see something. We need to see ourselves get on a roll. Because at some point we've got to start looking more towards the future, giving more opportunities to young players. And if we're not in a position where we feel good about our path to the playoffs, we're going to have to consider that as soon as this deadline.
Yeah, I think it's a good message to the clubhouse as well.
Yeah. And it's not a call out of any individual. I think, I'm in there a lot. Our guys are grinding. We have a great staff. It's just the reality of the business. If you can't stay within striking distance, then people are going to have to make difficult decisions about what the team looks like the last 2 months.
You rolled the dice a lot over the winter, and I think you did a great job with it. And it's up to the players, honestly. I really do. You put a team on the field. As I look at the team on the field, there's some disappointments, and maybe some of it is you sign people so late. It's a nature of the game of baseball, but how do you get away from that?
I completely agree with you. I think because of the way this free agency went and some of the players signing late, not just by us, but on other teams, there's more conversation about that, about the importance of spring training. I think it's been it's almost become chic to say, spring training's too long, this and that. But for players, especially pitchers, the rhythm of building up, it's interesting. You talk to the players that don't have a full spring training, and they'll tell you, I feel behind everybody else on the field. That's a terrible feeling to have in a sport like baseball that's all about comfort and rhythm. So I think it's going to change our philosophy to the offseason, how much we're willing to engage with free agents as you get into camp. We've sort of had a rule of thumb that we would not sign free agents once we got to Arizona and started spring training, and we bent our own rules a couple of times this spring, and we may have to get back to that and just be more diligent about it, because I don't think you're getting players best if they don't have the full spring training to ramp up.
Well, you have a few of them, honestly, and they haven't been great because Chapman's been terrific, but a couple of the others, Murphy included, I'm not sure when he signed, but he's been hurt. What do you think of Soler?
Yeah.
Now, you didn't sign him for a 1-and-1 kind of deal. He's here for 3 years. What do you say about the season he's given you the first half? Because he's a middle-of-the-order guy. Maybe you'll explain to me why he leads off. I'm sure you got a reason, but what about him?
Well, I'll tackle the leadoff question first. He loves leading off. He's mentioned to Bob that he loves leading off. I kind of like having a threat up there. It's not my decision. I don't really have any input into it. And I agree with you. He's kind of a 4-5-6 hitter if you look at it, the profile. But he likes hitting up there. Bob wants him to be comfortable. And he's done a nice job since he's been up there in the lineup. And maybe for a guy who's aggressive, it causes him to be a little bit more disciplined, take a few more walks, and get pitchers into the strike zone, which is what he really needs. If you look at his season, he had a good April, he had a really rough May, and he's kind of come back since then and done a nice job. Even in our game yesterday, which was a disappointing game, he hit a couple balls really hard to left field. So I see a steady improvement in the quality of his at-bats, and hopefully, we've seen it with this guy. He can carry a team for a couple months, so still hoping he has that hot streak in him this year.
Do you worry at all about him, though? He is here for 3 years.
Yeah. I think I was more worried in May than, over the last month and a half where he's done a better job. Again, I think it was an adjustment for him being on the West Coast, playing in this ballpark. He's got pretty big home road splits, and this park can be tough. It can be unforgiving. Those balls he hit yesterday were really top spin line drives, so you can't blame the ballpark for those. But, it can intimidate even the best hitters. So I think it's an acclimation process for him. His, everything we track in terms of bat speed and things like that have been really good this year. So it's just a comfort level and an adjustment period for him.
All right. I take it you're okay about it. All right. I'll interpret for him. He says he's okay about it. All right. Very good. The one guy, though, that's been fun, and I don't know, I'll ask you this, can you sign him to a long-term deal, not a 1-1-1, is Chapman at third. He's a heck of a ball player.
Yeah, I think we're seeing, the full value that he brings to a team. It's being in there every day. It's playing a great third base. He can get hot. He can carry a team. And we've seen that for stretches this year. And he's a great base runner. He's a really underrated base runner. He's got good speed. He can beat out infield singles. He can steal base if you need it. He was on the back end of that big double steal we had the other day. So And I just think the example he sets at a time when we were really trying to reorient to having everyday guys and having a consistent lineup. This guy's out there every day. Bob can't take him out of the lineup. So that's been great. And, I know he wants to play out this season, to reestablish his market. That was part of why he took the deal he did with us. But I think we'd have a lot of interest in bringing him back. Yeah.
Good. Basically, as I said, the team is solid. It's solid. It's an interesting year of baseball with all the parity. And I'm going to throw this one at you. We'll finish with this one. For some reason, I keep saying it's a game of 22 to 27-year-olds.
Yeah.
And, boy, if you don't have them, and you got a couple now.
Yeah.
You do. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make for next year. You got them. That's the way baseball has turned into.
Yeah. I think that's true. I mean, it's all the rule changes have been about athleticism. We know that pitching, for better or worse, is a game of stuff and velocity, and maybe that'll change. And you never throw as hard as you do at the beginning of your career, no matter how great of a pitcher you are. So the raw tools that guys in their age baseball prime bring to the table, there's no substitute for it. And so you're right. I think we're seeing some of the benefit of some of that youth infusion this year, and it'll continue next year because we have a lot of guys who both here and in Sacramento and even further down the system that I think will impact us next year.
Yeah, you need it. That's why I like Birdsong, and I like Harrison. And I say, how old are you? 22? Congratulations. That's important in baseball today. And you needed that because you hadn't had that before. And that's a change for me, too. Whose team is this? I always say, it's this guy's team or that guy's team. It's Posey's team. Yeah. Whose team is this?
It's a good question. I mean, I still view Webby as the leader of this team, He's been here for a long time. He's from the area. He's kind of a take charge guy. And, it's not the easiest thing for a starting pitcher to be the leader or a leader. I saw that a lot in L.A. with Clayton Kershaw, who's a Hall of Famer. And, I think these guys, because they're only out there, they only feel like there's so much they can do. But the example that I think for me, there's a lot of similarities between those two in terms of the example they create. Because I think from a front office standpoint, the dream is to have your most talented player also be your hardest working player because of the example they set for everyone. So that's what I would say. I think, Matt, it's his first year, but Matt Chapman's been really impactful in that way. And he's really shaped the team's identity. But I'd go, those are the two guys that stand out to me.
Yeah, I like Chapman. I'm going to go Conforto.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because he's been there before.
Yeah.
Now, look, we're going down the stretch. This is a different animal. You know that. You've been down the stretch a million times in your career.
Yeah.
And he's done it before. You don't have many guys who've done it before. I'm going to put the pressure on him to stand up and be the leader of this ball club, Conforto.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And you've seen it the last couple of weeks. He's starting to swing the bat better.
Big hit. And,
he's getting big hits, exactly, with runners in scoring position when the team's down. I think he, as much as anyone in our lineup, recognizes when it's like, it's a big at-bat. I've got to come through here.
Yeah, I said to Bob yesterday, Ramos, he looks like Cespedes. He reminds me of Cespedes because Cespedes rose to the moment.
Yeah.
And if you needed a hit, somehow he came up. Right. I'm not sure why they traded him, but honestly, Ramos is Cespedes to me.
Yeah, that's a great comp. I mean, the energy these guys bring. And really, to your point, the way these guys can excite the dugout and their teammates with the things they do, over the course of a long season, that's huge. And so I definitely see a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. He doesn't hit wall scrapers. They go out to dead center field, and that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to talk to you as
You
always.
too, Marty. Thanks a lot. It's fun being here.
Yeah, no, this is good. We talk baseball. That's what we like. Farhan, nice job. All right, more coming up. KNBR 680, 104.5, the Sports League.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, I'd love to talk about Georgie Brothers Furniture. They've been in the Bay Area for over 90 years. They have that 50,000 square foot showroom. It's got over 150 wonderful carpets, window coverings, and all sorts of furniture manufacturers. Well, the big news is stressless chairs. They make high-quality, comfortable furniture, sectional sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the famous stressless chair, which I have, in my home. Now, there's a great sale going on, and it goes on till August 5th, and it's called On the Spot Summer Savings. This is very exciting. You can receive an instant rebate for $100 for every $1,000 spent. So the 10% savings is really one of the best of the summer. Stressless furniture, I'm telling you, you have to try it. It's very, very healthy, very good for you. Check out Georgie Brothers Furniture. It's in South San Francisco. But look at them online. Georgie Brothers, GIORGIBROS.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you. Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, nice to have you back with us as we get ready for baseball. Walter is coming up with our Giants warm-up shortly. He's nice enough to give us an extra few minutes here on our show to catch up. Don't forget, if you're in our contest today, at Baseball Marty on Twitter, just guess the score of today's game. Win dinner for two at Original Joe's. That's that. And if you are a participant in the contest, Raph always comes up with a special gift. Dinner for two at Soto Mare, 552 Green Street in North Beach. That's always a lot of fun. Joe Sheen joins us, and as I tell you, he's got the best newsletter out there, baseball. He's got a gaming newsletter as well that's always a lot of fun to follow. And we welcome him to the show on this Sunday. Joe, how are you?
Hey, Marty, I'm going to do the Price is Right thing. I'm going to say 1-0 today because the last day before the All-Star break and everybody wants to go home.
All right. And, it's an interesting part you say that because, the bullpens are such a big part of baseball today. You can kind of unload the bullpen because you got 4 days off.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases, if you haven't used your better relievers and they're not going to the All-Star game, you get them on to make sure they get work today so they don't go a full week without pitching. So even in marginal situations, we may see some of the better relievers in baseball pitch just to get them that work. So, I mentioned that in the gaming newsletter that I sent out today, and kind of looking for spots where we might see only the good relievers pitch.
Well, we talked a lot about this wild card race, of course, but I still think the National League West is still up for grabs. I tell you that because the Dodgers have just been a mess, and it's more than just a couple of weeks now. And Corbin Carroll's starting to hit a little bit, and Eugenio Suarez has all of a sudden come alive in Arizona. So you got them going on. But let's talk a little bit about this National League West. I think the Dodgers are still very vulnerable.
I think the Dodgers are vulnerable because they want to be. And what I mean by that is the Dodgers aren't playing for the regular season. They know that they have the frontline talent that's going to give them a separation. You mentioned the recent play of the Dodgers, of course, that horrifying loss in Detroit yesterday. The Diamondbacks have played well of late, and it's still a 7-game cushion. Like, the Dodgers don't really have to take their opponents seriously just yet. This is a Dodger team that, if you look at how they run the bullpen on a day-to-day basis, Dave Roberts is still just trying some things. Same thing with the starting pitching. They've got most of a rotation on the IL, in part because they know they can. And we just got the bad news yesterday that Dustin May is going to be out for the year. But this is a team that is playing for 4 weeks in October. And personally, I think it's a shame. It's a very NBA approach to the Major League season. But if you look at the criticism the Dodgers have gotten over the last decade, they won the One World Series which a lot of people don't take seriously because it was 2020. And the Dodgers have had these incredible regular season runs, and they haven't won in the playoffs. So I think they've learned that they can take the regular season as a 6-month lead up to what's going to matter. So I'm not that concerned with the Dodgers, and I don't think the West is in play.
Hey, Joe, Sandra here. Just thinking, first half is in the books. What are some trends that you're seeing across Major League Baseball as a whole?
I think the big one this year, Sandra, and the guys at The Athletic, Saris and some others have really written about this a lot, is the diminishing use of the fastball. At the same time, pitchers are throwing harder than ever before. The average fastball is over 94 miles per hour. Pitchers are using everything else more. So the fastballs that hitters do see are great, but everybody's learning. The splitter was the big pitch this year. Everybody picked up a splitter. But you've got the sweeper. You've got pitchers using their off-speed stuff more than ever before. The challenges for hitters have gotten incredibly difficult. I think we've seen that in the overall offensive numbers. Even though strikeouts have leveled off, the performance on contact is actually dropping considerably. And some of that could be the baseball. We're still debating whether that's the case. But to me, Sandra, a lot of it is just this increased use of off-speed pitches, pitching backwards, the elimination of hitters' counts. You watch any game now, 2-0, 3-1 used to be, here's a fastball, hit it. And you'll consistently see guys get breaking stuff and off-speed stuff on 2-0 and 3-1.
Great analysis. Joe Sheen with us, always does a good job. Joe, what about run scoring? We've been talking about this now. We're into July, 96 games are down. Are runs now more prolific as we get into the summer, or is it still, this is 1968 again?
Well, relative to April and May, yes, run scoring has gone up. We've seen the usual weather effects happen this year. However, relative to previous, Junes and Julys, run scoring is still down. And it's particularly noticeable. You have to tease out extra innings. The runner on second creates an artificially high run environment. So you've got to look at regular season numbers. And when you do, you see that this is one of the lowest scoring seasons since 1969. I should say 1968, when the mound was 15 inches high and the strike zone was basically eyeballs to toenails. So if we look since 69, it's one of the lowest scoring years ever. But you do have to tease out the extra inning numbers to actually see that. And I think that's the proper way to do it because, a runner on second base completely inflates the scoring environment. But yeah, run scoring is still down, offense is still down. And even though it is up in recent weeks, relative to other summers, it's still pretty low.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the wild card because the Giants are still talking about it. And look, they've got 50 losses, and as Farhan says, you don't want to go too far back here over these next couple of weeks or put the Giants in a different position. So my question to you, of all the contenders in the wild card, and we'll concede Atlanta right now, but let's include the Cardinals and the Mets and the National League Central and the West, who do you see as the teams that will hang into this thing, that will not disappear?
The Cubs obviously got swept yesterday in St. Louis, but they were making a run based on their run prevention, which is how I projected them to be at the start of the year, a good run prevention team. I think they'll still try to stay in the race. They're 4.5 behind the Mets right now. You look at if you're in position or a game out, and why we're talking right now, the Braves, Cardinals, Mets, Diamondbacks, Padres. Then I think the interesting team is the Padres. They're just 2.5 out. They get to put Paul Skeens on the mound every 5th day. Jared Jones will eventually come off the IL. He'll go back into the rotation. The offense has been a little bit better than projected. They're an interesting team because they haven't bought at the deadline in a while. So we'll see if they stay in the mix here. Talking about the Giants, they're just 4 out. And, Marty, you know what their secret weapon is? They play 7 of their next 10 games against the Rockies. So I don't think they're in position to be sellers until they get through those games. Now, that's wrapped around the series with the Dodgers. But I think you've got to give yourself a chance to go 6-1 or 7-0 against the Rockies and put yourself, in better position. And, of course, excuse me, the difference between where we thought the Giants would be today and where they are today is not having Blake Snell. I'm sorry, Marty. Excuse me, Sandra.
It's all right. I do this all the time, Joe. I do it all the time.
They've got nothing out of Snell and Cobb so far this year. That's really the difference between being the 500 team we thought they would be and being 46-50. Snell is back. I don't know if they're going to get Cobb back. Let's give a running joke between us. Robbie Ray is presumably coming back. So, the pitching that has been the problem so far should be improving. So I think the Giants stay in this mix as well.
All right, very good. One number that I threw out with Bruce Jenkins this morning, that's total bases. You've got Judge and Ohtani with 233 total bases already. 400 is always the benchmark for me. I remember to think Todd Helton got it maybe the last time. But we've got 3 or 4 players that could get to 400 total bases.
Yeah, 400 was a big number. I remember Jim Rice doing it in '78, and that was a big story. I was 7 years old. I was aware of it then. 2001, 4 guys did it. That's the last time. One of the reasons that Judge and Ohtani have a shot at this is because they bat so high in the order. One of the sabermetric things in the sabermetric revolution was get your best hitters up from 3rd and 4th to 1st and 2nd. Ohtani is going to bat 730 times or so, and that, of course, helps you get to a high total base total. Aaron Judge bats 2nd a lot for the Yankees, batting 3rd a lot this year with Soto, but he's getting those additional at bats. So in addition to their power, it's the opportunities, and those opportunities reflect kind of more modern sabermetric thinking. Really fun guys, though. I mean, Ohtani hit a ball, kind of the home run he hit yesterday, Marty, was really something to see because it was just yanked it down the left field line, the right field line, in a way that a lot of his home runs are towering shots, and this is kind of line drive down the line.
Hey, Joe, are Ohtani and Judge, are they just the runaways for the MVP at this point in your mind?
No. I mean, I'm not sure Judge is even the MVP of the American League. Gunnar Henderson is putting up comparable numbers and then, playing shortstop. And positional value matters a lot. As good as Judge has been, surprisingly to me, in center field, playing some right field now with the injuries the Yankees have had, Henderson is a plus defensive shortstop. And when you put that with everything else he does, if you look at the WAR numbers, I believe he's still ahead of Judge in Baseball Reference WAR. I haven't looked at the Fangraphs one, but this is going to be a great race down the stretch. Judge versus Henderson will be a really interesting conversation. In the National League, no full-time DH has ever won the MVP. But Ohtani is on his way to having the best season of any full-time DH ever. Don Baylor played some outfield in '79. He was partially a DH. Edgar Martinez, David Ortiz, Frank Thomas, these guys all had big years. But it's hard to accumulate value when you're never playing in the field. Ohtani is, having this monster offensive season. And this has to be part of the story, Sandra. A lot of the other candidates have been injured. Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, these guys have all missed significant time that hurt their MVP case. So I agree with you that right now Ohtani is the favorite in the National League.
Well, I'm going to go Rhys Hines of Cincinnati.
Definitely the MVP of the week.
All right. All right. He's got like 8 home runs in 6 games. I don't know what crazy. It is, but he's carried the Reds here for the last few days. Joe, enjoy the break. We love having you on, and we look forward to a great second half with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. That is JoeSheehan.com. Best newsletter out there. Walter, you there?
I'm here, Marty. What's up?
Hey, Walter.
Walter,
hey,
thank
Sandra.
you so
how you
much.
doing?
Thank you so much for the extra 10 minutes today. We tried to get a lot in here, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. We're all getting ready for spring break to kick off with this final game between the Giants and the Twins. Man, it's a big one. It's a big one. They got to get a win here.
Yeah, I'll ask you this, and I'll turn it over to you in just a second. But what do you see that has to happen here? And Joe just said it. Maybe 6-1 against the Rockies. What do you think has to happen here just to calm Farhan down and say, okay, let's just go with what we have, as opposed to maybe selling off 2 or 3 players?
I think that's something that really needs to happen with this team coming out of the break. Is obviously, I mean, those games against the Rockies are huge. They have to come out of that with 6. I mean, why not all 7? I mean, they have to come out swinging and acting like their season is on the line, because there just hasn't been a lot of consistency with this team. And I think that's the big thing, is when they come out of the All-Star break with the starting rotation potentially getting more healthy. I think that when you get that, you can maybe string together some wins, but they're going to have tough sledding with the Rockies. I mean, nothing's easy coming out of the break and going into Colorado and winning there. We know that's a house of horrors for starting pitchers and bullpens. So it's going to be really interesting. And then they have the Dodgers and 4 in L.A. It's going to be a big start for the Giants, and I think a lot of that relies on the starting pitching and the health of this club.
Yeah, I got into it yesterday. I forget with who, but my trade, who did I get into that with? Somebody.
It was Kerry.
Oh, it was Kerry. All right.
Yeah.
I said, my trade is Duvall. So if you really want to get something, I would trade Duvall.
Yeah, I mean, he has value, and I mean, if you want to look at other bullpen arms, it just depends on what this team's going to be moving into the trade deadline. But I mean, would you consider possibly moving on from one of the Roger twins? I mean, they've been pitching pretty good. But Camilo, I mean, he's young. You have years of control. You can get maybe a controllable bat on the backside of that. So yeah, I like that. I like that trade, Marty.
Yeah. If you really want to make an impact, I'd put him in a trade with a couple of minor league players, and if you really want to redo it and say, okay, I want an impact player, that's the way to go, because there are desperate teams needing bullpen help, including the Mets. So who knows what they would do. All right. Well, we'll see. It'll be fun. Walter, have a great show today. Thanks for the extra time. It really helped us this morning. Thank you.
Of course, Marty. No problem.
All right. Walter Ikabalseta coming up with our Giants warm-up. We'll be back with you next Saturday. Giants and Rockies. Enjoy the All-Star break. Be safe. Be healthy. And we'll talk to you then next Saturday and Sunday, obviously, with more Talking Baseball right here. All right, Walter coming up right now with our Giants warm-up.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants warm-up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
What's up, Giants fans, and welcome to this final game of the official first half of the Major League 2024 season. Giants try to stop the bleeding. They have not been able to win a series since Atlanta. And before that, it was the Dodgers. So at that time, a week ago, we were riding into that Cleveland Guardians series, feeling pretty good about this team, but have not won a series since. Welcome to the Giants warm-up show. I'm your host, Walter Ikabalseta, taking you all the way up to 105 start time today. You got Chris Paddock on the mound for the Twins, and Blake Snell. Blake Snell looked really good. We'll talk about him throughout the show, but he looked really good in his last outing. And if you want to include rehab starts, only allowed 1 hit in his last 10 innings. So Blake Snell, hopefully, is getting back to that Cy Young form that the Giants thought that they were signing in the off season. But yesterday it was a brutal one. Again, the Giants just are unable to scratch across runs. That's just kind of been the story of this team. I know a lot of Giants fans, and the storyline of this team has been the injuries and the starting rotation, but that you cannot understate the underwhelming performance of this Giants offense all season long. It's just not good numbers. 4 runs a game so far this month. That's 20th in Major League Baseball. So the Giants really want to get a win here, get that series win going into the All-Star break, getting themselves feeling good about it. But yesterday, the takeaways yesterday was Hayden Birdsong, right? Hayden Birdsong looked really good, really composed. I wouldn't say composed. He did struggle with his command early on, but you have to remember the age for this kid. I mean, we met him a couple of weeks ago on the patio. Me, John Lund, and John Dickinson. We had him on there after his first major league start, and this guy he came in super composed, super confident. And that's huge. That's part of the battle. A lot of people have to remember that part of the battle for baseball is a mental battle with yourself, just feeling like you belong. I mean, we go back to Elliot Ramos, right? And he discussed kind of what changed for him coming into this season. It's just he felt comfortable. He felt like he belonged. He felt like he was a big leaguer. So you look at what that type of mentality can change for someone that was struggling in the minor leagues, and then you turn into a 2024 All-Star for the San Francisco Giants. Elliot Ramos also is continuing a on-base streak. I think he's at 13 games so far. It's in the maybe in the diamond notes. Maybe somebody that's hot for the Giants going into the All-Star break. You hope that it continues on the other side of it, because as we were talking about with Marty and Sandra, it's just this Giants team is going to have a tall task to come out of this break and perform right out the get-go. And this is a huge start for Blake Snell, who wants to string together 2 starts, and obviously you're going into the All-Star break here. But I think it's crucial for Blake Snell to have that confidence moving into the second half and just seeing his stuff feeling right for the Giants. And then you start to see what this pitching staff could potentially be. I know we've been talking a lot about the potential of this pitching staff all season long. And, one of my questions is 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Can this team ever reach its potential? I mean, that's kind of what Farhan was talking about in that this 2-3 week stretch for the Giants is that we have to see what this team has, what this team can be, or they have to pivot and they have to start selling off pieces. It's going to be really interesting as they come out of the break, because we talked about that schedule, and they do play the Rockies for 3 games or 3 games in Colorado and then 4 in LA, and then they come back and play Colorado at home. But nothing easy about going to Colorado and starting right after the All-Star break, where you've been off for essentially 4 or 5 days of no baseball activity, no game speed, anything like that. So you go into Colorado, that could be a sleeper series. You have to be right out of the gate with Colorado, then into LA. Giants are going to be able to position themselves with their rotation as they have going into that second half. You get Logan Webb, you get Blake Snell, maybe not Kyle Harrison, maybe Jordan Hicks in there as well to split up the lefties. But it's going to be really interesting out of the break, and the Giants really need to hit the ground running. But yeah, the takeaway, I mean, we're going to talk about him a little bit later and what the future does hold for the Giants. But looking at Hayden Birdsong yesterday, I mean, he did struggle with the command, but again, he goes 5 innings, and this is just, it's incredible to where the biggest ask for starting pitchers for the Giants in 2024 is to go 5 innings. And it just doesn't happen too often. It doesn't even happen going into the 6th inning. So hopefully Blake Snell can continue that streak, because Kyle Harrison went into the 6th on Friday. So hopefully we can get some more of these starters going 6 instead of 5 and alleviate some of that pressure on this bullpen that has been the biggest heavily tasked bullpen in all of baseball. But talking about the bullpen, I mean, yesterday, another big takeaway. You can't not talk about the core 4. And I wasn't on yesterday, and the core 4 was part of the 3 championships, right? You go look at Santiago Casilla, you look at Sergio Romo, Javi Lopez, Jeremy Affeldt, and it was just incredible. You don't get runs like that from a bullpen unit and just cohesiveness, everyone staying together. So to see them, I mean, the Giants organization, they are second to none in celebrating their past heroes. I look forward to the time that Madison Bumgarner maybe he comes out of center field on a horse again. Like maybe he brings out the yeah, for sure. What maybe he brings out the lineup card or something, and he just brings it out from center field on a horse. You remember that when he brought the World Series banner? I think it was 2014. It was after 2014, right? He came out, or was it 2012? I don't remember what year it was, but he came out. 808 KNBR is the number and the text line. Go ahead and hit me up if you remember what year that was, what championship that was that we were celebrating with Madison Bumgarner coming out on that horse, bringing the World Series banner so that they can go raise it up out there in right center. So. But yeah, when you talk about this bullpen, just everybody sticking together, it was incredible. It was an incredible time to just see the Giants celebrate them. And we talk about Madison Bumgarner possibly, getting his celebration at one point. You're gonna see Tim Lincecum get his celebration. You're obviously gonna get Bruce Bochy. Maybe you name the dugout after him. I don't know. Maybe somebody. I don't know if it was you, Raph. I forget who it was, but someone said Bochy's bullpens. I'm gonna patent that right now. So let's go ahead and get that name change out there. Was it you, Raph? It wasn't you.
It wasn't me. I wasn't creative enough.
All right, well, I'm gonna give Raph credit for that one. I'm gonna give Raph credit for
one of the archways.
Yeah,
that was my thing.
Oh yeah, let's do that. But the Giants do a really good job at celebrating their players. But a little bit here from the ceremony because we weren't able to see it on TV. We were able to hear it on KNBR, so that was great. Great planning by DC on that one. But core four, let's start with Javier Lopez. Let's get his thoughts on getting inducted into the Giants Wall of Fame, which that happened yesterday. Go check it out. Go check out the plaques. Pretty cool to start seeing the heroes of the past decade now being honored on that walkway right there at Second and King. So. Let's go ahead and look at Javier Lopez talking about getting inducted into the Giants Wall of Fame.
I mean, for me, we're brothers. Like, I just start smiling every time I see these guys. It's been a great couple days. Get to see their families. The kids are all grown up. It's hard to believe that it's been that long since we've been together. But, the game doesn't – there's moments in time that we're able to capture. And every time I look at them, I just see them being young, even though they're all nice and getting white. Like, we're getting old. But in my mind, we're always going to be putting on the black and orange.
Forever Giant Javi Lopez, and that was followed up by Jeremy Affeldt talking about him also joining his four brothers, as Javier Lopez mentioned there. Jeremy Affeldt on joining the Giants Wall of Fame.
All right, well, just seeing these guys again, I mean, Javi pretty much said it, but seeing the families, seeing the kids all grown up, we're all kind of sitting there looking at each other and realizing it's been a long time since we played. But I would say being able to see these guys in the situation that we're in, it blesses me. We worked really hard to do our jobs. We had great starting pitchers setting us up. We had unbelievable defense when we played. We had obviously a Hall of Fame backstop catching us. And so it made our job a lot easier. I didn't make their job a lot easier. They made mine a lot easier. But I'm so blessed, and I'm almost overwhelmed a little bit. And I told myself I will not cry, so I have to stop so I don't cry.
I mean, a little tears. Let's get a little tears, Jeremy. No, dude, it's incredible just to see those guys back there. And what Jeremy was talking about there was coming back and seeing their families. And I was talking to Javi Lopez when we had him on earlier this week with John Dickinson and Rod Brooks on Thursday. And he was just saying, it's an incredible moment for him because, his kids are now older and they can see what their dad did, and that's a pretty cool situation there for Javi and all these guys just coming back and reliving those incredible moments. And we'll finish off here with Sergio Romo. He talks about his journey with the Giants, with the orange and black, and what it meant all those years, all those 3 championships ago. Here's Sergio Romo.
I mean, they basically said it all, though. If you really think about it, the best part about it is that we can see each other after so much time and just pick up exactly where we left off. Even seeing Weez, who was our original closer to this 4, you know what I'm saying? We stuck together, and it started in 09 when we first signed these 2 guys. And when we traded for Affad, I'm still thankful you guys made that trade, you know, for Lopez, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, also Ramon Ramirez, you can't forget him, you know? But I'm just saying, like, we are a band of brothers, and I look at them and I tell them thank you every time. And I know Javi hasn't believed me. I've told him probably the most times, but these 3 guys help me. They honestly make me feel that without them, I don't last as long as I did. They taught me a lot. I learned a lot from these guys, you know. So, and my stats wouldn't look like they would if these guys didn't pick up some of my, you know, loose ends too. So, but at the end of the day, it's very fitting that it's us 4. It is. This doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore, and just to have that cohesiveness for that many years, you know, I don't think it's something that any organization would see again. I mean, from the bullpen, right? I mean, you can get guys in the lineup and stick around for many years. I mean, you see that quite frequently. But with free agency, everyone's, you know, trying to get paid. Everyone's trying to get the next best paycheck, and I mean, good for them, you know, but. With the bullpen, it just sticking around for that many years, that just does not happen. That isn't something that I don't think that we will see again at that level, winning championships and sticking around as long as they did. But the core 4 inducted into the Giants Wall of Fame. We will continue to talk more Giants on the other side, and I'm going to pose the question to everyone. What do you want to see, or how has this first half looked to you? 808 KNBR, that's 415-808-5627. How are you feeling about the Giants ending the first half, still below 500? Are you optimistic that they can come back with everyone coming back, with Blake Snell on the mound today, with everyone slated to come back? Robbie Ray is pitching a rehab game today, Alex Cobb tomorrow. So, again, 808 KNBR, are you optimistic? How do you feel about this team going into the All-Star break? Or should they really consider selling some pieces? We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening to the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. I'm your host, Walter Cover. Taking you all the way up to 12:05, which 12:05 will be the start of the official pregame show. Get diamond notes to you, a little talk back to the booth. And then first pitch, 1:05. Blake Snell on the mound trying to get a series win for the Giants going into the All-Star break. That'll be huge just for him to have a solid quality outing today. Feel good going into the All-Star break. And then we all come back next weekend and go to Colorado where the fun starts. 415-808. KNBR is the number, asking you, Giants fans, how are you feeling about this first half? Very underwhelming, I think, for me. Very inconsistent, if you want to put it to a first or to just one word. It's been very frustrating. I think that a lot of Giants fans will comp to that. But how are you feeling about the Giants going into the All-Star break? How are you feeling about the first half, what you've seen, and also how optimistic are you for the Giants going into the second half, going to Colorado, going to L.A., playing the Rockies again at home? Then you have the last Battle of the Bay series in San Francisco. So how are you feeling about all of that? 415-808 KNBR. We have Mike in SF. He wants to talk about the first half. Mike, welcome to the Giants warm-up show. How you doing today, man?
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm hoping for a series win here so we can go into our little vacation here a little happy as Giants fans.
Yeah, we got some good luck, and we can't look down upon it. I was just wanting to answer your question about do you think the team could reach its potential? I just got to say, unfortunately for the vets, who have been, for the most case, like you said, a severe disappointment. That's going to be decided without the help of Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb, in all likelihood, before the July 30th trade deadline. So it's going to come down to wins and losses headed until then. My issue with the way things are being ran is guys like VR, Schmidt, even Luciano, who's got a real hot bat right now, and Fitzgerald, who should have earned the right to compete against Estrada for some playing time, are sitting down there, but it's okay, we all know Melvin's going to play his bets ahead of the young guys anyhow. So they can really consider themselves lucky and that they get this guy today who gives up 1.4 whip, hits, walks, innings pitched for the last 2 years. Got a chance to get some hits together. Got a chance to get some offense going against the Rockies for 7 games. So I just want to put it on a positive note. If we have good luck, take advantage of it, fellas. Go Giants.
Yeah, for sure. And they do have to take advantage of that series against the Rockies coming out of the All-Star break. Mike, thank you for the call. It all kind of goes back to the starting rotation. I think that the starting rotation needs to be on. It has to hit on all cylinders. Everybody needs to come back, and after the All-Star break, like Jordan Hicks needs to refine his first 8 starts and forget about his last 10 starts. I mean, Jordan Hicks has not been the same pitcher that we saw, but then also that's the experiment that the Giants have been playing with Jordan Hicks. Giants didn't know what Jordan Hicks could be going into July, August, and September because of innings usage, right? Every time that he goes out there now, you're going to see a new career high in innings thrown in a regular season. His previous was, I believe it was 73, and now he's approaching 100. So that's a lot of innings on someone that hasn't done it before. That's why the importance of Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb coming back sooner rather than later is crucial, because you don't know how long Jordan Hicks can stick around in the rotation. Then you look at Kyle Harrison. He was dealing with that injured ankle, but he had a encouraging start in his last start of the first half. Then you look at Logan Webb has been the epitome of consistency, but then when following a Blake Snell start, Logan Webb gets knocked around a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay for somebody to get knocked around, but my thing is, if we're talking about the potential of this team, when are they going to eventually reach that potential? Because we keep talking about what if, wait until this happens, wait until that happens. Well, it just hasn't happened to this point. That's why the first half for me, I mean, they're looking at 4 games below 500 right now entering today, and trying to stop the bleeding of series losses against the Minnesota Twins, against Chris Paddock, who is a starting pitcher that, Mike in San Francisco, he is a starting pitcher that the Giants should be able to take advantage of in this game. I mean, it's the big leagues, I understand that, but he has not been good in his last 3 outings. His ERA is above 7. I know that he was on the injured list, and he came back and pitched against the Chicago White Sox and did pretty good, but it's the White Sox. I mean, you want to compare the Giants lineup to the White Sox lineup, and comparably so, they're kind of the same. So can we see Chris Paddock go out there and throw 5-6 innings against this team? That's not too far out of the reach. But again, this is a pitcher that this Giants team should be able to get hits off of. And that's the thing is that, we've seen the long ball, and we had early on for the Giants had a stretch of, no home runs for a long period of time. It was almost a week. That was like 2 months ago. But they're hitting home runs now, but it's not all about the long ball. You have to be able to score runs in different ways, and getting 7, 6, 8 hits a night is not going to do that. So it's going to be really interesting. I know we talk a lot about the starting rotation, but the fact of the matter is the offense is underperforming to this point. I mean, you start looking at Jorge Soler, he's hitting 228. You look at Michael Conforto, he's hitting 236. Chapman 237. Yastrzemski 230. Estrada 220. I mean, that's not going to get it done. But that's why the importance of the rotation is just that much elevated coming out of the break and everyone getting healthy. But we'll continue to have this conversation. Scarecrow is on the line in Sacramento. He wants to talk about the first half. What's up, Scarecrow? How you feeling today? Welcome to Giants Warm-Up.
Feeling fine. Question: does anybody really appreciate the fact that for all intents and purposes, they almost tore this thing down to the studs, and they have a whole new coaching staff, a whole new pitching staff, several holes in the starting lineup, and you're trying to slap that thing all together by the All-Star break? I would suggest to you that these guys are lucky they are where they are, and that the impatience of Farhan notwithstanding, you're asking a lot of a bunch of guys to put this all together and then try to compete for a wild card. The point being, they've got a lot to rebuild. Those years under Kapler, they did a lot of damage to this ball club, most of it thoroughly unseen. And now they're trying to get this thing back again. And for all intents and purposes, yeah, they're not doing this with frontline players. Did Farhan spend a lot of money? Sure he did. He should have spent a lot more. Point being, you're asking a heck of a lot of these guys. Can they pull it off? Yeah, possibly. But I think it might take a little bit more than just a rotation. And it might just take maybe another year because there still really is no core to this ball club.
Yeah, for sure. Scarecrow, thank you for the call. I mean, my thing with looking at this team and, okay, are we asking a lot of this team? I don't think that we are. I don't think that we are asking a lot of this team, being that this is a team that was constructed to win. And I guess what is the goal for the Giants moving forward? Are we talking about developing players, or are we talking about making the playoffs? Because they haven't made the playoffs since 2021. That was the year that they lost to the Dodgers. Still hadn't won a playoff series since 2014. They haven't done that. So what is the goal for this team moving forward? Are we just okay with developing players and moving forward and oh well, this team, you know, they're trying to get put together by the All-Star break. We have to wait and see. Or I mean, just what is the goal for this team? Are we playing games to develop for years to come, or are we playing games to get into the postseason? Because right now, the team 4 games under 500. They're closer to the bottom of the National League. They're not in a position right now to where you can say that this team will remain intact when it comes to the trade deadline. And what Farhan said, you know, we'll get to that on the other side, Raf. But Farhan, pretty much this is a 2 to 3 window or 2 to 3 week period to where we have to see what this team is, and there could be a substantial pivot point by the time that we do get to the trade deadline. So again, 415-808-KNBR, what do you want to see this team do when it comes to the trade deadline? We're getting to the first half, the end of the first half. I guess, 97 games have been played. 96, 97 games have been played, so we're well over the halfway point. I think that you have already seen what this team is. A lot of injuries, but this offense, I don't know where the improvement is going to come from this Giants offense. And obviously we talk about the starting pitching and guys coming back and it getting healthy and reaching a potential. But what is that potential for this team, and what is the goal moving forward? Is it to develop the players, or is it to get into the postseason that they haven't done since 2021? And that was also the only winning season in quite some time. So we'll continue this conversation on the other side. Giants warm-up continues. Blake Snell on the mound. We'll talk about Blake Snell because Blake Snell looked really damn good in his last outing. I'm excited. I have not shied away from saying my confidence in Blake Snell has never waned. I think that we are going to see the back of the baseball card second half Blake Snell that we are expecting, and it all starts today going into the All-Star break. So we'll continue that on the other side. You're listening to the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. We're getting close to the start of the official pregame show in about, can't do math, Raph, 12:05, 15 minutes. 15 minutes until we get to the booth and we get you ready for this this game going into the All-Star break. Giants trying to win a series that they haven't done since they played in Atlanta, which, man, again, you go back and look at how that week just it was an incredible high when you look at how they played against the Dodgers, how they played against the Braves, and then Cleveland. It was tough, but then they just haven't won a series. Should have won, in my opinion. They should have won the series against the Blue Jays. But you know, we're here now, trying to get this win going into the All-Star break. Giants trying not to fall further under 500 right now. They're 4 games under 500, trying to make it 3 going into the All-Star break. You got Blake Snell on the mound today to be the savior for the Giants. And his last time out, he looked incredible. He went 5 innings, 1 hit, and he did that in 73 pitches. So obviously, Giants are slow working him back into the rotation. Want to make sure that all the rust is off, but there was no rust showing in that outing against the Blue Jays from Blake Snell. 5 innings, 1 hit, 73 pitches, 3 strikeouts. So he looked pretty like how Blake Snell is, I think, going to look for much of the second half. And today he wants to go into the All-Star break feeling good. I'm not saying that he has to throw exactly what he did last time with 5 innings of shutout ball, 1 hit, but you know, you just want to be efficient, right? And his fastball command was outstanding. That was something that was eluding him early on in this season. And you know, and also the command of his off-speed pitches were just, he was not throwing his off-speed pitches for strikes, so everyone was just sitting on the fastball. And when you don't place the fastball where it needs to go, that's where big league hitters take advantage of you. So fastball, they were sitting on fastball, sitting on changeup, but now Blake Snell looks like he's getting back to form. So the Giants are going to try to ride that into the All-Star break, win this series against the Minnesota Twins. But again, 808 KNBR is the number. Want to toss it out to the phone lines. We were talking a lot about this, the potential of the Giants, and what do you see moving forward. And I think that this start is a huge indicator as what the Giants can potentially be. We can see from the starting rotation going into the second half. If Blake Snell has back-to-back good outings, I think that the clubhouse, the fan base, feels a little bit better about this team. Obviously, if they come away with a win, but if you see Blake Snell going out there competing, going 5, hopefully 6, because Kyle Harrison was the only pitcher to do so on Friday, only pitcher since not named Logan Webb to do so since Keaton Wynn on June 15th. So that's been a long time. A lot of inconsistent outing, or I wouldn't even say inconsistent. They've been consistently going 5 innings, and that's it. So you'd like to see Blake Snell. I know that over his career, he doesn't really go deep into games, but getting 6 would be okay. But then also you're looking at going into the All-Star break, and you want to get relievers some work before going on their vacation, going to Cabo, wherever they're going. And so maybe he only goes 5, but if he goes 5, I want to see something similar or just an efficient outing from Blake Snell, because the Giants can really feel good about their 1-2 punch with Logan Webb and Blake Snell going into the second half, especially starting off in Colorado. But before we take one more last break and get you ready for the Giants official warm-up show, we got to get you a standings update. Everyone loves the standings update, because now Actually, Raph, you remember when we were doing the standings update in April? Like the first weekend of the year.
We're 2 games out of first place.
2 games out of first place, baby. Yeah, the times have changed, definitely. But now the standings update, sponsored by the Alameda County Probation Department. Join acpd.org today for a career that matters. There is a little bit of a race going on in the National League West. The Dodgers have not played well in their last 10, going 3-7 in their last 10, but they're currently still above the National League West at 56-40. But the Diamondbacks now in second place, tied for second place with the San Diego Padres. Diamondbacks are at 49 wins and 47 losses, and the Padres are at 50 wins and 48 losses. And people wondering, well, Padres have more wins. Yeah, but they have one more loss, so it's the same exact win percentage. 7 games behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. You got the Giants right there, right behind the Padres. 3 games back from the Padres, sitting currently at 46-50. Hopefully you get to 3 games under going into the All-Star break. But where it really matters is the wild card standings. Now, the first 3 teams are established right now with the Atlanta Braves, 52-42. The St. Louis Cardinals, which it's crazy when you look at the Cardinals and what they're doing and how they're getting how they're the second wild card, because when you look at their run differential, they're -33. They're worse than the Giants in run differential. So what you're telling me is there is a chance when you look at that. But the Cardinals are 50-45 in that second wild card spot, and then the Mets 49-45 in that third and final wild card spot. And then you go down, you have the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Diego Padres, Pittsburgh Pirates. Paul Skeens starting in the All-Star game on Tuesday, so that's must watch TV in the All-Star game. Also, Elliot Ramos. Have we seen if Elliot Ramos is going to be starting the All-Star game yet? Fernando Tatis injury?
We don't. So we should find out soon.
Hopefully we'll find out if Elliot Ramos will be starting in that All-Star game. But Pittsburgh Pirates are ahead of the Giants, as well as the Cincinnati Reds by a margin of 1 game and 1.5 games from the Pirates. Then you have the Giants, and they are ahead of the Cubs right now by half a game. And that is your standings update, sponsored by Alameda County Probation Department. So we will take one last break. We'll get you all ready for the Giants and the Twins, trying to get that series win going into the All-Star break. Blake Snell on the mound, Chris Paddock for the Twins, and I'll get you a lineup. We haven't done a lineup yet, so I'll get you that on the other side. Giants warm-up show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show as we wrap up these last few minutes here. Going to get you a lineup. Blake Snell on the mound today. Giants trying to get that series win against the Minnesota Twins. Chris Paddock is against him, and pitcher matchup. Paddock has not had a good last 3 games, ERA above 7. But he did look better against the Chicago White Sox in his return from the IL. But Blake Snell on the mound trying to build off of that 5-inning, 1-hit, scoreless outing, 3 Ks in that one against the Blue Jays, trying to build that into the All-Star break to where the Giants start to get their pieces back in the rotation and look to have a little bit more consistency with that. But let's look at the lineup that they throw out to Chris Paddock. Much of the same, but Jorge Soler is hitting leadoff, doing a damn good job at it. But Jorge Soler hitting leadoff in the DH spot. You got Lamont Wade Jr. batting second at first base. Elliot Ramos, the guy that never gets days off and won't again because he'll be in the All-Star game on Tuesday. So Elliot Ramos batting third in center field. Patrick Bailey batting cleanup at catcher. You got Michael Conforto batting 5th in left field. Matt Chapman batting batting 6th, I'm sorry, at third base. Mike Yastrzemski, who has pretty good numbers against Chris Paddock. Stay tuned for Diamond Notes, but he's batting 7th in right field. Thairo Estrada batting 8th, at second base. And Brett Wisely batting 9th at shortstop. So let's run through that one more time. Jorge Soler, Lamont Wade Jr., Elliot Ramos, Patrick Bailey, Michael Conforto, Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski, Thairo Estrada, and Brett Wisely. Blake Snell on the mound as the Giants try to get a win going into the All-Star break. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.